And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Collins versus Collins. Step forward, please.
Store manager Angela Collins is suing her ex-husband, construction worker Jack Collins, for his share of foreclosure fees. Jack says it was Angela's fault the trailer was repossessed.
Miss Collins, this is your former husband.
Yes, ma'am.
You claim that he owes you $750 because you were forced to pay certain assessments on a home that you jointly owned before the divorce.
Yes, ma'am.
And that you were forced to settle with the whatever company recently. You had no knowledge prior to the divorce that this was going to be a problem, and you feel as if it's only fair for him to pay his fair share.
Yes, ma'am.
And he says it was your house, deal with it. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you married?
In 98.
1998. And when were you divorced?
2002.
And when did you separate?
Probably about 2000.
Who lived in the home?
Me and him. And our 2 children.
How old are your children?
They're 11 and 12.
See from the papers that the children don't live with either one of you. Is that right?
You're right. They live with my mother.
Why?
She adopted them.
Why?
Because she couldn't handle them. She didn't want me to have them, and she didn't want them, so that's why she...
Stop tapping.
Tried to sign... She wanted to sign adoption, wanted me... Pretty much forced me into signing adoption papers over to her mother for financial reasons, you know, and it just didn't make no sense. She didn't want me to have custody of the children, but she didn't want custody of the children, and they didn't want me to see them. I still don't see my children.
Then that's what happens when you sign away your legal rights to the children. You don't have to see them. Okay, so you separated in 98,
yeah.
And you stayed in the property.
Yeah.
Is that right?
From February to May.
Alone?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you sure? Are you sure about that?
I'm positive.
The gentleman sitting next to her over there was the one that was moving in.
He never lived there, Your
cousin,
Honor.
Your Honor.
When I started seeing him and his mama kept coming there and they wouldn't leave, and that's the reason I ended up moving out. We was just dating, Your Honor.
You say he was in and out of jail for burglary and drug use. I stayed in our manufactured home that was on his parents' property and continued on my life with a new spouse.
No, we was not married. We're still not married. We was just seeing each other, and he never lived there.
Did he stay there?
No, ma'am.
Did he come to visit?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he stay over occasionally?
Yes, ma'am.
Of course he did. All right. So, did you pay the mortgage during the whole time you were living there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what happened in May?
Him and his mother kept coming over, and they kept kicking in the front door, and then he got he got upset because I was seeing him, and they kept showing their butt, and he tried to run me off the road, and they kept kicking in the front door, so I just moved out.
Why didn't you take the trailer with you?
I didn't have nowhere to take it to.
So you just left it?
Yeah.
When he left, did he say to you, this is your problem, this is your trailer?
No, actually he said him and his father was going to move into the trailer and keep the trailer.
Well, what happened to the trailer? It got repossessed?
Yes,
Got
ma'am.
repossessed with half my stuff in it, Your Honor.
Did you pay them this $1,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me
Here's the
see.
receipt right here.
Okay. I'll hear you, Mr. Collins. Why shouldn't you be charged for half of this?
Your Honor, I told her whenever I left there, I had went and bought another car. I loaded all my stuff up in a small car. And I told her, I said, as long as you have my children, you can stay on this property as long as you want. And I'll help you pay the note on the trailer as long as my kids are living there. But whenever he moves in, y'all all need to move out. You understand what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and support him and her. So when she decided that I wasn't going to be that dummy and support him and her, then she just left.
How old are you?
30.
You're a big boy. If you buy something from a bank and you take out a mortgage, what you do when you divorce is you make sure that when you get a divorce, all the loose ends are wrapped up. They moved out. They left the trailer on your mother's property. What happened to it?
The repossessors, they were supposed to pay us storage fee for even having the trailer.
What happened to the trailer?
They come repossessed it.
When?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
I moved.
I don't know. I don't know what my name is after this case. Listen to me. You owe her half the money. I mean, certainly when they've written off $10,000 worth of mortgage fees, neither one of you are going to get star credit ratings, but at least you're not going to have judgments against you, and at least under these circumstances, you're not going to have your income tax return if you have any refund taken, or they're not going to come and detach your driver's license. They can't take your children because you've already given them away. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $750. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think she was very fair. I got what I deserved.
I left the trailer there to her, so I think she was responsible for the payments.
We just can't be in the same room together.
Every time I turned around, we were arguing. I couldn't get along.
I'm his second cousin, but that's on my mother's side, and I don't even associate with nobody over there on that side of the family.
It's been so long ago, I'm over it.
Notary public Marlene Ruddock is suing her ex-boyfriend, bail bondsman Tim Dean, for forging documents and stealing her possessions. Tim is countersuing for harassment.
This is case number 139 on the calendar in the matter of Ruddock versus Dean. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Ruddock, it is your claim that the defendant has your property from your home, television, furniture, etc. The defendant says that you sold him this property, and he has a notarized bill of sale to prove it. How do you know him?
Years ago, when I was in property management, I leased him and his best friend an apartment. And through the years, I had gotten married. Recently, we had gone back in contact.
How did you do that?
I had made a phone call to him. Me and my husband were having issues at the time. And
were you and your husband still living together?
No, we were separated.
So you contacted him for what purpose?
We were together at one time.
You were a couple?
Yes.
My question is, you contacted him why?
Out of old caring feelings, that kind of thing.
Okay. When did you contact him?
I believe it was in September.
And you and your husband were not living together at the
No.
time? Okay. So how did he come into possession of your furniture?
Back in November, around Thanksgiving time, he works with a bail bond company, and him and his friends had gone into one of their clients' homes and were staking it out. And they were waiting for the client to come back into the home and get money back from him so he could be released. And my notary stamp was involved in this, and he clearly told me that he had taken it, used my name, signed my name on this power of attorney to remove the belongings from this home.
Just a second. What does that have to do with your furniture?
What that has to do with it is the state of Nevada had pressed charges on him and had got in contact with me in December.
Just a second. So far, all you've told me is that in September of 2003, you were separated from your husband, and you put in a call to Mr. Dean because you and he were a couple at one time.
Correct.
That's all I heard. Then I heard some bubba-mices about him being in somebody else's house with Richard Dreyfuss on a stakeout. Do you understand?
Correct.
We're not at your house yet.
Okay.
With your furniture.
Basically, what happened in December is I'd been contacted by the state of Nevada.
No, you're back there again, Mrs. Ruddock.
I had to leave for my safety.
Mrs. Ruddock, I don't know how he came to live in your house, madam.
Because he had established residence there.
Well, we didn't get to that. So let's go back to September when you placed a phone call to him. You said hello. He said hello.
We became a couple again.
I don't know what that means, we became a couple.
He moved into my home.
When did he move into your home?
Probably the first part of October, along with his daughter. Then in December, I was contacted by the state of Nevada that my car had been involved in a criminal activity.
Your what?
My Cadillac, my car, my vehicle that Mr. Dean had been driving. And at that time, me and him had decided to go our separate ways, and he had contacted me when I was at work on my cell phone telling me to bring his belongings back to him. Or I could say sorry, and this would all go away.
Just a second. Miss Ruddock, you are all over the place, and I'm having a really difficult time following you, madam. Was he living in your home, or was he not living in your home?
Yes, he was living in my home.
So in December, he was living in your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And at that time, on that same day...
What day?
It was December 8th or the 7th of 2003.
Okay.
And he had called telling me if I didn't bring his car back to him, then everything could be okay with us if I said sorry. I feared for my safety at that time because I'd been in contact with the state of Nevada. I got my children and went to California because I had told them what I knew, what he'd done with my notary stamp in forging my name on this power of attorney where it goes back in November. And I left with my children at that time for fear of my safety. When I came back on December 14th, I had called the police, and they went up with me. They looked at the 5-day on the notice, and the cop handed it to me. He says, "Are you aware that you've been served this 5-day?"
I have no idea what you're talking about.
This 5-day right here.
What do you mean you have been served with a 5-day?
That's what
a 5-day what?
A 5-day notice to leave my home.
Who was on the lease in your home?
My husband, myself, and my children. This is the lease right here. So I held the original lease.
Well, your children can't sign a lease.
No, but they just put 2 adults, 2 children.
Okay. December 7th or 8th you left. Is that what you say? And
It
you
was
came
on a
back
Monday.
on December 14th. And between December 7th or 8th and December 14th is when you say he came into possession of your furniture and your belongings?
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dean. You do not deny that you have Mrs. Reddick's furniture and television, et cetera, but it is your claim that she sold you all this property. Is that
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
All right. So let me hear how she sold you the property, sir.
Well, let's put a little clarity on this. As Ms. Reddick was saying, I knew her years ago. She was dating my bounty hunting partner at the time. And once they broke it off, we dated for a couple weeks till I found out that she was still seeing her husband.
Okay. Listen to me. I don't want to go back that far,
Okay.
Mr. Dean. You have her furniture. Prove to me, sir, that she sold it to you because she owed you money.
That's what I think, but what it is, it was another little thing she was doing as far as so her husband wouldn't get half the belongings.
You swore in your answer, sir, that she sold you her furniture because she owed you money. That's
She did.
what you said. So I want you to try sticking to one story. Explain to me how she owed you money, for what, and when she sold you the furniture.
She told me that she was selling me the furniture for the money that she owed me, but I knew because...
Just a minute. Tell me what money she owed, Mr. Dean.
I'd paid off her warrants.
Paid off her warrants. Warrants for what?
For bad checks, Your Honor.
Okay. And you paid them off how, sir?
By giving her the money which she never used to pay the warrants.
Show me.
Show you?
Show me check, money order, withdrawal from a bank.
I gave her cash, Your Honor.
Show me check, money order, or withdrawal from the bank.
I don't have that, Your Honor. Just my daughter is a witness attesting to that.
I'm not going to ask her a question. I mean, what do you think you were coming to court for, sir? The tea dance?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ex-boyfriend Tim Dean forged documents in order to steal her belongings. Tim says Marlene was trying to hide property from her ex-husband.
First of all, let me see the bill of sale, and then you're going to explain to me exactly how she was compensated for her furniture. Show me the bill of sale, and then explain to me how she was compensated.
Gave it to her. She has a copy of it, Your Honor.
You have the bill of sale?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. And this is also...
Don't speak. Just show it to me. I have a feeling you two of you deserve each other.
This is forged, Your Honor. That's what my...
I didn't ask you a thing. I asked you for the bill of sale. Do you understand?
Yes.
I mean, I think that you're a con artist as well. I know he is. I don't think you're much better. Well, show this to him. Let's see if this is. Is that the bill of sale, sir, that you showed the police?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, Mr. D. So I am correct, sir. When she came back on December the 14th, she said, give me my furniture back. You said, I have a bill of sale, right? She sold me the furniture.
Correct.
Right? She sold you the furniture for a big screen Mitsubishi television set for $1, all household furnishings for $1, all tools for $1, all appliances for $1, all wall hangers for $1, all bedding for $1, and a 1993 Cadillac Eldorado for $2.50.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, are you still living in the apartment, sir?
It's a house, Your Honor.
Are you
yes.
still living in the house?
Correct.
Good. With all of this stuff?
With
all of this stuff?
No. The only thing.
Yeah, listen to me,
The
sir.
only thing of value was the big screen TV. In fact, everything
Now
else.
listen to me, sir. Now I want you to listen to me very, very carefully.
Okay.
Did I tell you about 5 minutes ago that I'm smarter than you are? I don't think you believe me. This is not a bill of sale that reflects the value of this property.
Exactly. Your
And
Honor.
if what you're telling me is that you knew that what Miss Reddick was trying to do was to fraudulently convey marital property to you, is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you.
Then what I'm telling you is this isn't worth anything. Do you understand? If you are aware that she is trying to commit a fraud and you are complicit in that, then this goes in the garbage. Do
owed
you
me-
understand, Mr. Dean?
She owed me the money, Your Honor.
No, now we're getting back to, oh, she owed me the money. And what I'm telling you is, show me. I want you to show me. And if you can't, say, I can't.
I can't, Your Honor.
Good. Then I find that that is a fraudulent conveyance, and within 5 days, she will be there with a moving van to pick up all the items on that piece of garbage, including all of the household furniture, the television, etc.
Everything of those items is mine, Your Honor. As far
Listen
as
to me. Listen to me, sir. Show me. Show me
those
Mr.
items
Dean.
are mine.
That is too bad. And I'm telling you, she is coming to pick up your property.
No, she's
the
not,
property,
Your Honor.
sir. Yes, 5 days from today. Absolutely, Mr. Dean. That is what's going to happen, sir. Now let's get to your counterclaim. I don't want to hear anything else. Counterclaim, Mr. Dean.
Your Honor, I know exactly what's going on here, and I don't appreciate it.
That's too bad, sir. If you're not going to get to your counterclaim is dismissed with prejudice. Step out. 5 days from today, the court will
Thank
enter
you,
an
Your
order.
Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I've got a temporary restraining order from this woman.
As I've said before, he's a shyster.
She slashed my tires.
Me slashing tires is not my style, that's his.
She tried to tow my vehicles.
He knows that everything he said was a lie.
She's psycho.
I'm glad Judge Judy ruled in my favor.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lester versus Lester. Step forward, please.
Marilee and Thomas Lester are suing their daughter, 22-year-old food server Natasia Lester, for the unpaid balance on a 97 Saturn. Natasia claims her parents took the car away from her.
Mr. and Mrs. Lester, this is your daughter. How old are you?
22.
According to your complaint, you co-signed for a car for your daughter about 2 years ago. And the agreement was that she was to make the payments on the car.
Yes, ma'am.
And she did make payments on the car for 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And then something happened. She was in an accident. And according to you, she just stopped making payments on the car. She said her insurance lapsed and she stopped making payments on the car. You want the car payments because
Yes, ma'am.
you don't want your credit to be ruined. Your daughter says that she made the payments for 2 years, and I assume that she intended to keep on making the payments, but that you had the car towed from her place of employment to your house, and she no longer has the car.
That is true.
So then I guess a lot of this has to do with timeline. Why you're suing your child, I don't even want to get into. But you purchased the car when, Natasia?
In September of 2002?
May I see the paperwork? Do you have the paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see it, please?
Do you want just the contract or just all of the paperwork? Here's the contract.
Good luck.
Yes, it's very small. It was faxed over.
I couldn't find the original.
What were your payments, Natasia?
$188.57
And you made the payments from September 2002 until when?
until August of 2004.
When was the accident?
It was in September of 2004.
And what did you do with the car?
I left it at my place of employment, trying to get it fixed. I had made arrangements with a friend of mine that worked there, and he was going to help me get it fixed.
What was wrong with the car?
I ran over a tire on the freeway, and the extent of the damage, I'm not quite sure exactly. I know the radiator was busted. It was undrivable. I had to have it towed.
And according to your parents, you let the insurance lapse on the car.
Yes, I had.
Why is that?
Just making payments for other things, and I know that I shouldn't have, but it got lapsed. That was on my own fault. I let that happen.
Now, you did in fact tow the car,
Yes.
Yes, I put it on a trailer and took it to my house.
and then you went over to speak to her.
Yes.
Well, tell me about the conversation.
I just asked her how she was doing and what happened, and she's told me she couldn't. She swerved trying to avoid a tire, and then she just kept driving the car because she didn't want to stop. Then I said, well, are you okay? She says, yes, I'm fine.
Okay.
And then I just went back to my work, and I was talking to my guys at work what to do with the car. And I said, well, I'll have to bring it over to my shop and check it out to see what really needs to be done. I had no knowledge that she was going to have anything to do with getting it fixed with
Well,
anybody
didn't
over
you
there.
ask her?
No, I did not at that time.
Why not?
I figured, well, I'll just take it to my house. That way I can take care of it, get it fixed, and we can get it back on the road.
Mr. Lester, you just precipitously took her car away. You can't do that.
The car's still in my name too, ma'am.
You can't do that, sir.
She said that there's no need to make the payments now that the car's wrecked. So she told
No,
me.
you just made that up as you're going.
No, ma'am.
I assume you're fixing it, right?
No, I'm not fixing it.
Well, I suggest you
I
do.
couldn't because I didn't have the money.
I suggest, Mr. Lester, that you fix it because you had a contract with your daughter. And you breached that contract when you towed the car without her consent or permission, without having a discussion with her, back to your home. Now, I don't know what else was going on between you and your daughter, but clearly that's not the way family treats family.
Can I go ahead and say something? After we went ahead and had the car towed to our home, she made no contact whatsoever to go ahead and say, you know, what can I do? I know I didn't make the insurance payments. Why, I mean...
I know I didn't make the car payments.
Didn't make the car payments.
Just a second. Don't say she didn't make the car payments. She did make the car payments. She's not obligated to make the car payments now that you have the car in your possession.
The only reason I towed the car is because my boss, he gets upset when crash vehicles are in his parking lot.
We couldn't leave it in that yard, and she wouldn't.
Then you have a discussion with your daughter. You just don't take it.
She was not at work the next day.
Mr. Lester, Mrs. Lester, you got a lot of excuses. I don't know what problem you have with your daughter. It has nothing to do with this car. Your case is dismissed. You have the car. Fix it and sell it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She doesn't agree with my lifestyle, and I can't have anybody like that in my life.
When she notified me saying that her and her girlfriend had gotten married and that she was no longer going to have anything to do with me, I was very concerned with that.
She had become a stalker, and I just felt that I didn't want her in my life anymore, and she didn't agree with that, so I had to go for a restraining order.
I have no problem with her lifestyle. I don't like her girlfriend.
She makes little comments. It's not something that she says directly, but she makes little comments, you know, here and there.
If she wants to go ahead and believe that, fine. But I love my daughter very much, and she's, you know, I just want her to be happy.
Something that could have been fixed, and it's gone way out of proportion now.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rutherford versus Sausalito. Step forward.
21-year-old student Ann Rutherford is suing her ex-roommate, computer tech Gina Salsameda, for the return of her security deposit. Gina says Ann left the place a mess.
Miss Rutherford, according to what I read in your complaint, you rented a room from the defendant sometime in August. And the idea was that you were going to stay for about 6 months. And because of problems that you encountered, according to you, you felt rendered the tenancy no longer viable. You gave the defendant notice in October that you planned to vacate in November. This case is about the lack of security deposit that was returned to you because she kept most of your security deposit of $400. I think she gave you back $100. And you want the rest of your security deposit back.
Yeah.
And now, since we've outlined the case, it's up to you to demonstrate to me why you're entitled to her $400 security deposit.
Well, the balance of $300 is for some of the damages.
I'd like you to tell me what the damages were. She was there a relatively short period of time, and unless she's a pig, she couldn't have used up all of her security deposit or most of it.
She was a pig, but one was of a painter to come out. She dyed her hair. She got the dye on my bathroom tile, used my white towel all over that. The bathroom door, there was dye on it, and also burgundy dye in the hallway. She had no regard for my home. I have a very nice house.
Well, then
I gave her an opportunity to clean it as well.
Let me see. You have photographs of that?
I'm sorry, I don't have photographs. I have a painter coming out and fixing it, basically painting it.
Let me see what you have.
There was other damage she caused that I didn't even charge her for, from some of my furniture.
That's ridiculous. Okay, so this cost $150.
And that's a minimum fee, basically, to have a painter come out.
And that was because of dye that was from her hair?
Right.
Did you dye your hair when you were there?
Yes, I dyed my hair in the bathroom, and there was a spot on the door.
Oh, well, had it be painted. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. She did not clean. She just basically left the room as is. So I had a cleaning lady come out, and $50 for that. It's a minimum fee for them to come out and clean the room.
I'd like you to show me a picture of the condition she left the room.
I'd like to see that as well.
Like I said, it was just she didn't sweep or mop.
Well, then, that's unfortunate. You don't get paid for that.
Okay.
Okay, so far, $150 for painting.
Can I say something about that, Your Honor?
Yeah, sure.
It was a spot of hair dye on the door, and when I left, I said, Gina, I expect to get my full deposit back. I said, I realize there's a spot on the door. I said, if you want to go buy a can of paint for like $15, I'll give you part of my deposit for that.
Let me ask you this question, Miss Rutherford. In what month did you dye your hair?
It was in October, I believe, and then I was gone pretty much the rest of the time.
Shh. Just pay attention to my question.
Okay.
If you dyed your hair in October and you got dye on the door, Why didn't you go get a can of paint and paint it? Why didn't you clean it up before you went anyplace else?
I cleaned up everything that was on the tile. The hallway charge is absolutely bogus.
Listen to me, my dear.
You did not clean the tile.
Listen to me, my dear.
Sorry.
Liar.
If you dyed your hair and you got dye on the door in October, it shouldn't have still been there in November.
I understand.
Good.
Your Honor, I'm also suing for punitive damages for the fact that I even have to go through all of this. Just the fact that she took this money from me and the fact that, you know, I even need to come and do this is ridiculous.
Well, that's what courts are for. That's what happens. Where are you living now?
I'm living with my friend Christine across.
Is that where you moved immediately after
Yes.
moving out? How long have you been friendly with Christine?
For about 2 years.
Why didn't you move in with her to begin with?
She actually already had a roommate at the time, and I had somebody that I was going to be living with, and it just didn't work out, and so I needed to find somebody immediately. And Gina seemed like she was nice, and then about a month into it, I just found out a bunch of things that I really wasn't comfortable with.
So then you moved back in with your friend whose roommate left?
Yes.
Perfect. Now it sounds like everybody is happy. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $150, that's all.
That was our excuse when they stepped out.
I think it was absolutely ridiculous. She completely lied about the painter's fees.
I think it was fair, and it was a waste of time, basically.
I actually found out about a month into it that she was bisexual, and at first I was okay with that, but then her ex-girlfriend started coming around. She started doing drugs again. She wasn't going to work, and I just couldn't deal with that.
I didn't do drugs. I don't know what she's talking about there.
She said I was a slob. That's ridiculous.
She's a prissy drama queen, Midwestern homophobic, apparently.
She was the one that never did anything.
She's just spoiled little brat.
7-year-old office clerk Chad Smith is suing his ex-wife, 23-year-old car detailer Amber Hampton, for return of child support. Chad says he is not the father of Amber's son.
That's case number 441 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Hampton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Smith, Miss Hampton is your former wife, and at the time you met, the defendant was pregnant. The child was born during your marriage, but you are not the child's biological father.
No, ma'am. It wasn't born during the marriage.
No, ma'am.
When was he born?
February 21st, 2001.
And when did you marry?
In April of 2001.
Could you keep your voice up, please? I'm old and my hearing is not as good as it used to be.
April of 2001.
Okay. I only devour litigants on Thursday. When did you separate?
It was about July of 2001.
So you were together for 3 months?
Yes.
When were you divorced?
Well, to the courts, we were divorced in 2002.
So you lived together as husband and wife for 3 months?
Yes, ma'am.
And the boy was born prior to that, but it was both of your understanding that this was not your biological child.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you were incarcerated off and on from 2001 to 2003.
Yes, ma'am.
During that time, Miss Hampton obtained a divorce, named you as the child's father, and at some point you were ordered to pay child support. You were not present in court.
Yes,
it was a default. I don't know whether you were in jail or out of jail. Were you in jail or out of jail when there was a default?
I was in jail.
Had you been served with the papers?
No, ma'am.
In any event, subsequently, when you got out of jail, you went to court and you had the child support order stopped. But in the interim, money was deducted from whatever salary you had.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want that money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hampton said that you were aware of the fact that you were not the child's biological father. You agreed to assume responsibility for his care. Your name is on the child's birth certificate. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Is not?
No. He was in jail at the time Tyler was born, so he was not able to sign the birth certificate.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Hampton. Why did you, in the judgment of divorce, name Mr. Smith as the child's father?
I told my lawyer that he wasn't the father, but he had claimed responsibility. And my lawyer said that since we were living together before the child was born and afterward, and that he wanted my son to have his last name, that he was responsible for it.
Well, all of that is supposition on your lawyer's part, if in fact he told you that, because A, he had not signed the birth certificate, B, he had not claimed responsibility, and more importantly, according to the timeline that both of you gave me, you were married in April of 2001, and less than 3 months later, you separated. So this commitment that he made to your son was of short duration. Then he was in jail. Who was the child's father?
His father's name is Mike.
Is what?
Mike.
Mike. And did you notify Mike that he has a son?
He knows, but we have no contact with each other.
Well, who supports the boy?
I do.
And how long have you done that?
Since he was born.
Good. Then why did you pursue Mr. Smith for support?
I had quit working after I had my second child, and I went through family assistance, and they went after child support.
So you went on welfare?
Yes, ma'am.
After you had a second child with whom?
His name is James.
Shh. Now, where does James fit in this picture? Why didn't he support his child?
He does now, but we had broken up for a time due to a disagreement. We were both working and going to college, and he wasn't there when she was born.
So is what you're telling me that the state pursued the issue of support?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive any of this money, or did it all go to welfare?
Part of it went to welfare, and then I received the other part.
Well, do I have any indication of how much you received for the child support as opposed to the state?
I have none of that paperwork. DHR.
Do you?
No, ma'am. Just what I paid in child support.
Listen, Mr. Smith, there's a problem, sir. My sense is that whatever you paid in child support, a part of that went to the state.
Yes, ma'am.
Not to her. I don't know how much that was. What were you in jail for, Mr. Smith?
Probation violation.
That's not a crime.
Yes, ma'am. It was breaking and entering a vehicle.
Burglary.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
One count of that. Yes, ma'am.
One count to cover how many charges, sir?
5.
You know, you think that these things just come to you?
No, ma'am.
There's experience there. You don't spend that much time in jail in this country with overcrowded prisons, unfortunately, for one count of breaking and entering into a car. But when you've been arrested a whole slew of times and you get a lawyer who says, look, we'll lump them all together, one count, how much time did you serve?
I was placed on probation under youthful offender.
And?
And then I had a 3-year sentence if I broke probation.
And did you?
Yes, ma'am.
How?
Failure to report to my probation officer.
Anything else?
That should be it. That's it.
You mean to tell me they put you back in jail for how long because you failed to report to your probation officer? Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Smith?
Well, it could have been...
And I don't want you to look over there. I want you to try to bring those eyes right back here.
I got attempting to elude because I had...
Attempting to elude?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that you were running away from the police?
Yes, ma'am.
When they came to bring you in so that you could chat with your probation officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you were attempting to elude the police, how did you do that, Mr. Smith?
I ran.
How long did it take them to catch you?
About 6 hours.
So you were running pretty fast. How long have you been out of prison, Mr. Smith?
A year and a half.
Any trouble since?
No, ma'am.
Did you learn your lesson?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, his ex-wife, Amber Hampton, falsely named him as the father of her child. He is suing her for the return of child support.
The problem, Mr. Smith, is that probably a good piece of this money went to the state where you live because they were supporting her and this little boy. How much did you pay for the divorce, sir?
I haven't paid anything.
And are you divorced now?
Yes.
Okay, and you paid about $3,000 in child support?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to consider that the cost of your divorce, sir. If you don't want to think of it as child support, think of it as the cost of your divorce, because it is impossible for me to determine how much money of the money that was deducted from your salary went to Miss Hampton and how much went to the state. And I certainly can't, although there's a basic unfairness about it, I certainly can't say to her, you have to return the money to him when she didn't get it. So, you made some mistakes in your life, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
This was just another mistake. Costly, unfortunate, but there is nothing that I can do to help you.
I also had my lawyer fees where I had to take her back to court to get everything dropped.
That's a different story. Let me see that, please. Did you bring the baby to jail to visit him?
Yes, ma'am. He had called me a little bit before Father's Day, and I was nice enough to take Tyler up there to see him.
Why did you do that, sir?
Because then I had found out that she had filed for divorce stuff.
Why did you ask to see the baby?
I didn't. She brought him up there.
He asked how everyone was, how me and him were doing and everything like that. So I didn't.
But he didn't ask you to have regular visits with him while he was in jail with the baby?
Until right after we went to court and I did my statement to the judge, I had no idea where he was. I hadn't seen him.
So the answer is no. So how much in total did you pay the lawyer, sir?
$500.
Okay. Do you have the final copy of the judgment of divorce with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
modification on it, deleting the child's name? Let's see, please. Well, this talks about the child.
It also says she don't know where I was during the whole proceedings, but she did because I got the letter from jail.
But with that, I went to court on February 27th, before Father's
Of 2002. This judgment was filed March of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find out where he was?
It was right before Father's Day. I don't remember what the day
How did you
was.
find out where he was?
He called me.
Was that the first time he had called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the postmark on this letter is May of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
What evidence do you have that she knew where you were?
It's highlighted.
Oh, it says here, I already knew you were here in jail and how you got caught. I had seen Chris in Walmart right after you were caught.
Yes, ma'am. That was right before he called. Actually, I think it was the day he called me from jail.
How much after you got caught, sir, did you call her?
It was probably about 3 months.
I believe you knew where he was. You all live in the same general vicinity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you knew where he was. Minimally, Miss Hampton, you're going to pay his legal fees because I think that you should have at least advised the judge that he was in jail and that he couldn't respond. And since he had to retain an attorney to at least get rid of the paragraph here that talks about the boy and that talks about visitation shall be at the discretion of the plaintiff, should have been a little more forthcoming with your lawyer. And you weren't. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just wanted to get on with my life and start my new family and everything.
I just can't believe that he even got with her because she's crazy.
Don't marry too many times.
Be very careful who you marry.
Mitchell and her boyfriend Timothy Green II are suing their former employer, Gary Toner, and his friend David Showalter Jr. for the return of a '93 Dodge Intrepid and lost wages. Gary is countersuing for money and a cell phone he claims Timothy stole.
All rise. Yes, this is case number 458 on the calendar in the matter of Green Mitchell versus Toner Showalter. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
All right, here's another one of those convoluted cases where I need a roadmap just to get through the papers. Let me see if I've managed to, at least in some small measure, dissect it. You and your fiancé worked for this gentleman,
Yes, Your Honor.
whose name is?
Gary Toner, Your Honor.
He also worked for him.
Yes, Your Honor.
He had a car that he wanted to sell. You agreed to buy the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is your story. You made payments on the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
You repaired the car.
Yes,
He
Your
gave
Honor.
you the title to the car.
Yes.
Gave you the registration to the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then one day, your fiancé, who was using the car to make pizza deliveries, because that's what Mr. Toner does, he's in the pizza business,
Yes, Your Honor.
he got robbed
Yes.
at gunpoint.
Yes, Your Honor.
After making a whole bunch of deliveries, he had about $800 with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Toner didn't believe that Mr. Green got robbed.
Yes, Your Honor.
So they came and took your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you want your car back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Showalter, he says, I never sold him my car. He says, Mr. Toner and I let Mr. Green use the car, sort of like a rental, for work and for pleasure and to make our pizza deliveries. And when he got robbed, we took the car back because we figured he wasn't going to be working for us anymore, so they took it back.
Yes, ma'am.
You got this so far?
I'm trying to keep up.
Try to keep up. Try to keep up. And Mr. Toner has a cross-complaint. He says he wants the money back that Mr. Green stole because he didn't get robbed. He stole the money and also a cell phone that was the business cell phone that you allegedly have. That's your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When did you purchase this car, Miss Mitchell?
I purchased the vehicle in September of 2004.
For how much?
The total was $1,670, Your Honor.
How did you pay for it?
Mr. Toner, seeing I was an employee of his, a full-time employee, he deducted $200 from my weekly wages, which was every Tuesday. I have a record here of every week that my money was taken out of my check. Thank you. The top page is the original, then I rewrote it just so you would understand it better.
Well, this says cash payment.
Your Honor, it was off the books. While I was with Mr. Toner for 3 years, I was paid off the books. That's just how things were done.
Not totally true, Your Honor.
It's not what?
Not totally true, Your Honor.
It's enough true so that the IRS is going to be interested in this case. Everybody perk up. Perk up, perk up. Love this. You know something? If I keep going along like this, Bert, I'm going to balance the budget. How many months did you have the car?
I purchased the car September 2004, and the last time I seen the vehicle was January 1st of 2005, New Year's Eve.
I would like to see when you purchased the car from Mr. Showalter. So I don't know why you were paying Mr. Toner.
May I say something, please?
Yeah.
I never purchased the vehicle from Mr. Showalter. Mr. Toner bought the vehicle at the city public auction and sold it to me because I was an employee.
So Mr. Toner, it was Mr. Toner's car?
Yes, ma'am. He purchased it at the auction.
Let me see the paperwork he gave you in either September or later.
Mr. Toner never gave me the paperwork. I was given a title in September by Mr. Showalter.
Well, let me see it.
They have the title. They did a duplicate of it and stopped the title at the DMV, ma'am.
Well, I want to see what paperwork you have that is evidence of
this.
Oh,
okay. As far as my
sale.
receipts and all, I don't have a bill of sales. Mr. Toner never gave me a bill of sales, Your Honor. The proof I have are all the receipts for the 93 Intrepid. It's stated on all these receipts.
Let me see.
Also, I have the police report, Your Honor.
Just a second, just a second, just a second. So I have parts for the car.
There's also a receipt in there, Your Honor.
And then you had the windows
Yes.
tinted? Brake pads. Well, why would they make all these repairs on a car that they didn't own?
The arrangement that apparently they had with Mr. Showalter was they would maintain the vehicle. He's using it, making a lot of money with it, and he'd maintain the vehicle.
Well, didn't he work for you?
Yes.
You paid him?
Yes.
How much?
Oh, God, depending on how many deliveries he took, maybe $100 a day.
I thought the car didn't belong to Mr. Showalter. I thought the car belonged to you.
No, I purchased the vehicle from an auction, and I then sold it to Mr. Showalter.
Can I see the title to the car, please? You say in your complaint, madam, that Mr. Showalter gave you the title to the car, signed it, and sent it to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Tim signed it, and yes, we did send it to DMV.
Why didn't you get a copy of that? Where is it?
It never came back in the mail, Your Honor. And I do have Mr. Showalter on tape stating that they pulled a flim-flam on us, that they...
Oh, well, I'd love to hear that he pulled a flim-flam.
May I play it?
Sure.
Legit. Okay? Gary went behind my back and ordered a new title.
Right, he told me that you did all of that.
He ordered the new title, had it sent in. Okay? Told me he was going to take the car on you. I said, I don't want no part of it because me and you were down.
Oh, no, but he the one said that you the one planned everything. Had the car moved, took it off the lot.
Why would I take the car from you? I didn't care. Why would I, if you got robbed or anything from the pizzeria, why would I care? Why would I take, was going to get another title? He said he ordered a title, he was going to take your car. I said, Gary, you can't. Everything's in my name. He goes, I got ways to do everything.
Yeah, and I know because the car was paid in full, you know what I'm saying?
Just a second. Explain yourself.
I told her whatever she wanted to hear. I'm tired of conflicts.
No, listen. No. You hear the groans out there? They're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to do that.
I told her whatever she wanted to hear. Every time she calls me, I go into her place of business, she threatens me, just to get her off my back. So I told her what she wanted to hear.
Listen to me. Not only is he going to get into trouble with the IRS for paying people off the books, but you're going to get into trouble for lying to me.
I'm not lying, Your Honor.
Sure you are.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Claim their former employer, Gary Toner, and his friend David Showalter Jr. owe for the return of a 93 Dodge Intrepid. Gary says he fired Timothy because he faked a robbery.
You had a conversation with him, And you pretty much apologized to him because your boss did the wrong thing.
No. We did order, I did order another title because I was afraid I'd get screwed over. I was never getting my money on time for anything. I was tired of...
What does that mean, you weren't getting your money on time? What does that mean, Mr. Showalter?
We had an arrangement. I was supposed to have the money on the 1st. I was never
Just a second. You weren't getting your money on time for what?
The payments for the insurance and the car payment for renting it.
Not renting it. That's not what you said.
That's
not what you said. You said, I was afraid I was going to not get my money on time. I was afraid I was going to get screwed.
Can I explain how this unfolded?
Do I need to hear it?
Yes.
No, I don't need to hear it. I think that what you did was you think that he planned a robbery, concocted a story about a robbery to steal the money that he collected for pizza deliveries on December 31st.
That's right.
And you knew you weren't going to get your money back. You knew you weren't going to get your money from him because you really had no way of proving that he staged this robbery.
He agreed to pay it back.
Before or after you took his car?
After the car was removed.
And that's how it unfolded. So you took his car, and it was his car. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Tell me about... He says he was robbed at gunpoint after he made a day's worth of deliveries. You say you don't believe that the way things unfolded. You think he did it. Now, the only thing I'm interested in is you say he promised to pay you back. Tell me about that.
He had agreed to pay back the...
Tell me where it happened, when it happened, and what the discussion was.
It happened on the 31st, December, New Year's Eve. And I received a call at my house, probably midnight or so, saying that the store manager called me and said that he was robbed. And I said to the store manager, well, I had checked with you through the evening, and you had said he'd made drops periodically. And how is it he was robbed for the figure he then told me, $880? That's impossible. And I said, okay, I'm coming in. I'm on the way in. En route, I then called Mr. Showalter and said, I think he's pulling something here.
Go grab the car.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what your situation is with the
absolutely.
vehicle.
You can't do that. It's his car.
No, it's Mr. Showalter's car, Your Honor.
No.
Okay.
No.
So on the way
That's
in-
what we're here to determine, sir.
Okay.
And I'm telling you right now, after I heard that tape, I have determined it's her car.
Okay. So then on the way
You
in...
took it as hostage.
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
Sure. Well, but what prompted you to take the car at that point, sir?
Oh, I didn't take the car. I simply mentioned to Dave, if you still have money outstanding, you might want to consider taking back your vehicle. Because Steve's
What
probably
does
going
that
to lose
mean?
his
Just
job.
a second. What does that mean if you still have any money outstanding?
Paying for the car. He was behind insurance at that point by 1 month.
You know that you thought of that very, very fast, sir. But you
No,
already
sir.
put,
No,
but
no,
you
Your
already,
Honor, that's
but
the
you
truth.
already put your foot in your mouth. If they're behind at all in the car, you better go get it. Go ahead.
So I came in. I picked up T, who was at the restaurant. We then drove to the location.
Would you please just tell me when he told you he would pay you back?
It was right then, that night.
Well, tell me about the discussion about I'm going to do.
Drove to the location, realized it was nowhere near his delivery route. It was the last run of the evening. The last delivery of the last run didn't add up. He's in a very bad part of town. I said, what are you doing way over here? He said, well, I'm going to get gas. I said, well, there's stations en route to here. He said, well, they were busy. I said, well, what happened? Why'd you get out of the car with all this money in your pocket? He said, people threw eggs at my car and I went out to fight them.
Yeah, and?
Yeah. So I told him, it doesn't make sense. We got back to the pizzeria. At that point, David Showalter had removed his car. And T said, where's the car? And I said, the car is removed. And you're fired because I don't believe you.
Okay.
So then a conversation unfolded in the back room where he said, I'm sorry, I'll pay you back. I said, why don't you just tell me the truth? Just tell me you staged it. Tell me you pocketed the money. Because I've had problems with T.
Just a second. So what did he say?
He'd pay back the money.
Is that what you told him?
No.
What did you tell him?
He said I wasn't going to get the car back unless I pay back the money. I ended up working 2 days for free.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Did you say to him at that point in the back room, all right, I'll pay you back the money?
Yes, because he told me I couldn't get the car back unless I paid back the
not
money.
true, Your Honor.
I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. Don't believe you? Don't believe you. Okay. Where's the car now?
Do not know, Your Honor. It was robbed. Have the police report?
Let me see it, please. Did they ever recover it?
Not yet, Your Honor.
I don't like a bunch of fibbers. I think there's a little bit of truth to what you say. I think that they probably didn't fully pay for the car at the time that the car was taken. I don't know whether you were robbed or not, but I certainly...
Excuse me, I do have a police report for the robbery, Your Honor.
It's okay. Did they find anybody?
No, Your Honor.
It just is his statement that he was robbed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
It also made the newspaper. It's crime infested there, where the pizzeria is. So.
And it's also more on
Listen,
the tape.
Mr. Toner is skeptical about people telling him the truth. He's skeptical about people being shortcut artists, right?
Absolutely. There's a bit of history as well with T.
Well, are you a shortcut artist, Mr. Toner? All I want to know about is the cell phone. Where is the cell phone?
I have the receipt here. It's, I believe it to be still in Timothy's possession.
No, I don't have it. I gave it back.
To whom?
So who'd you give it to?
Back to
Don't
the
speak to
pizzeria.
him. Who'd you give it to?
Back to the store manager.
Who was that?
That would be Ricky.
When did you give it back to Ricky?
2 weeks. 2 weeks later, after my phone had got turned back on, because I was keeping in contact with him about the car.
About what? Getting the car back?
That I was gonna get the car back. Now the car ended up getting stolen. I even got more on the tape.
Got it. Okay, counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Some people say I was robbed. I could say go down the street, throw money out my pocket, say I got robbed.
Pizzeria's been robbed 4 times within the last month.
Drivers have $20 in their pocket in singles. If they're robbed, you throw the money and you go the other way.
I never heard of nothing like that.
Customers had called and said that he came to the door smelling like marijuana.
Me and the manager, the other manager was jolly smoking, you know what I mean?
I'm just grateful that the judge seen that I was telling this truth and seen right through Mr. Toner, Mr. Showalter.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Finnegan versus Cooper. Step forward, please.
19-year-old warehouse worker Justin Finnegan is suing 28-year-old student Catherine Cooper for backing into his car. Catherine says Justin was illegally parked.
Mr. Finnegan, it is your claim that Miss Cooper damaged your car by backing into it.
Yes, that is correct.
And you want her to pay for the damage that was done to your car. Miss Cooper says that your car is, or was, I don't know, it's still in existence, an illegally parked piece of junk. Okay, where did this happen, Mr. Finnegan? No, listen to me. I didn't ask you to show me. It's not show and tell. Where did it happen?
We were at the apartment complex.
At an apartment complex?
Yes.
Whose apartment complex?
Her old apartment complex and my witness Matt's apartment complex.
You don't live there?
No, I do not.
What were you doing there?
I was visiting with my friend Matthew.
When?
September 20th.
2004.
Yes, that is correct.
Now you can go over to your chart and show me where your car was.
Okay.
You say your car was parked.
Yes. No, it was still running. I had forgot my wallet, and I was parked right here.
Well, that says driveway. It's written there, driveway. So you left your car running in the driveway. Where had your car been parked, Mr. Finnegan?
My car was parked right here.
That says friend's car.
When we had left, no one was there. That was where I was parked.
Okay, so that space, you were occupying that space, and then you backed out into the driveway, left your car running, and went back inside to get a wallet?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, now my question to you is, why didn't you pull back into the parking space?
Because we were just running in real quick.
Not we. Don't say we. You were driving?
Yeah.
It's your car, not we
That's
were
correct.
running in. And who ran in? How many people
I
did it
ran
take
in
to get a wallet?
I ran in real quick to grab the wallet.
So you were driving. So my question to you is, why didn't you pull back into the parking space?
I wasn't going to take that long. I was just running and grab the wallet and turn around.
It was long enough for somebody to hit your car.
She was backing out.
It was long enough for somebody to hit your car. Then what happened, Mr. Finnegan?
I had grabbed the wallet, turned around, came out the front door, and we started yelling because she was coming close to the car. And
who's we?
Me and my witness Matt, and I had another friend outside, and we were all yelling, "Watch out, watch out."
Just a second. Where was this witness?
We were,
not we.
Matt was standing right here, right outside of the
He was
car
standing on the grass. What was he doing there?
He had got out to talk to someone.
And she hit your car?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, show me.
Okay.
What's this house? Picture of a house.
That one is a picture of the pole.
What does a pole have to do with this?
I was just showing that she has broke that pole several times with her vehicle.
I want to see a picture of your whole car, sir.
The whole car? We don't have one of the full car.
Why not?
Because I just took a picture of
What's
only
this
the
plural?
jet.
What's a we?
Sorry.
I want to see a picture of the whole car. She says that this is a gray car that you've painted with house paint. Looks like that to me on this little thing over here, because that has to go to your damages, sir. Is this car painted with house paint?
No, it's primer. It was red.
Primer. Who painted it with primer?
It was primered when I had bought it. I was getting ready for paint.
How long have you had it?
I had it for a year.
Did you ever have it painted?
I haven't had it yet. It's sitting in the shop right now.
Why?
Because I was rebuilding the car.
All right, Ms. Cooper, I'll hear you.
Okay.
That's part of the 20th of September, 2004. You backed into his car.
Yes, I did. And right after that happened, I got all his friends. There was more than that many people out, and they surrounded me, and they were yelling at me and calling me all kinds of horrible names. And I told them, fine, I'll just pay you. I was on my way to work. So I left after that. I needed to get out of there. There was a bunch of teenagers, and they were all partying. There's a lot of traffic in and out of the place all the time. And they all started harassing me, and the harassment never ended.
Okay, so you backed into his car.
Yeah.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it. There was a car parked next to me. I was parked in my normal parking spot, and I
see where you say your car was parked.
Okay.
Now, what happened then, Mr. Finnegan? She didn't pay you for it, is that right?
Yes. She had asked me to bring her an estimate, and she would make payments for it.
Fine. Did you bring her an estimate?
Yes, I did.
Was it a reasonable estimate?
Yes.
What was it for?
It was $670.20.
How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $2,000 for the car.
What year, make, and model car is it?
It's a 1990 Honda Civic.
Did you buy it in primer coat?
Yes, I did.
And you paid $2,000 for it?
That is correct.
Somebody saw you coming. So you gave her this estimate. Go ahead. What happened next?
And I had waited. She had said she was waiting on a check, and I had said, okay. And I had came back to her, and she had said, I don't have the money. I just started a new job. And I had waited another week or so, and I had came back, and I followed up each week about the money, and every time it was a different story.
Why don't you tell Officer Bird here what you did, sir?
I had asked her about the money, and she said, well, I'm moving, and I don't have the money. And so, out of anger, I got mad, and I went and I took a baseball bat to the back window.
Of what?
Of her vehicle.
Of her car?
That's correct.
Who was in the car at the time?
Her daughter was in the car.
Her baby was in the car?
And I did not know that at the time.
No, I told them.
Shh, 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 shh. Sorry. Got it?
Oh, yeah.
You got your anger out. And you were arrested.
That's correct.
And you pled guilty to vandalism.
It was criminal mischief.
And you were forced to pay restitution.
That is correct.
What do we think, Petrie Hawkins Bird? Evidently, Mr. Finnegan understands how to go to small claims court and file papers.
Apparently.
He even knows how to oversee drawing diagrams.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Finnegan, you think I'm sympathetic to you, sir?
No, ma'am.
You're right. That you're right about. And why do you think I'm not sympathetic to you, Mr. Finnegan?
Because of what I did was not right.
Correct.
In any way, shape,
One
or
thing
form.
was an accident, at least partially caused by your own negligence for leaving your car running in a parking lot where there are children around. Child could have run into the car, driven, hurt themselves, hurt a lot of other people because you couldn't take the time. You must have been off to a very, very important corporate meeting so that you couldn't pull this car back into the parking space, turn off the ignition, and take the key when you went inside to get your wallet. So at least you were partially responsible for what happened to your own piece of junk.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And instead of acting like a grown-up and saying, well, she's not paying me, that's not the right thing to do, maybe it'll cost me $50 to have my car fixed. Instead, you take a baseball bat to her car with her baby in the car sitting in the back seat and smash the window.
Yes, ma'am.
You think that a court is going to be sympathetic to you?
No, ma'am.
You're right. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You step out.
They have fight clubs. Bunch of teenagers beating each other up all over the place, bleeding all over the parking lot.
And, you know, we're teenagers. We have lots of friends, you know.
I know that there's drug activity going on around there.
We meet up there, and then, you know, we all leave together.
We said, my daughter's in the car, Justin, because I saw him come around with a baseball bat, and I knew he meant business then.
I never wanted to be mean or, you know, have problems with her. I just wanted, you know, what was mine.
I was just really scared, just shaky and scared, hoping that the cops would get there fast.
Executive assistant Junelle Avila is suing her ex-boyfriend, salesperson Jacob Johnston, for a loan to help with his divorce. Jacob says Junelle gave him the money as thanks for his support.
All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 478 on the calendar in the matter of Avila versus Johnston. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Avila, this is your former boyfriend, and according to you, you made a loan to him in an amount in excess of $5,000 to pay for an attorney because he was involved in a divorce and a custody dispute with his, I assume, now former wife?
Not quite.
Not quite. So you're still involved in this custody and legal dispute?
Yeah. She was difficult then and still is.
I don't know who's difficult and who's not. When were you married?
August 96.
And you have children?
1.
How old?
8.
When did you leave your wife, or when did she leave you?
I moved away and we separated in 2003.
Did you meet Miss Avila before or after you left home?
Oh, well after.
According to your complaint, the money that you loaned to him was in February of 2004. Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Which was when?
I took out a personal loan in my name May 6, 2004.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding that loan.
I gave Jake a cashier's check, which I have here, and a copy of the personal loan I took out to get the funds to loan to Jake.
Okay. Tell me about the discussion that you had prior to your executing this personal loan with regard to what the money was needed for and whether or not you would, in fact, take out a loan and lend him the money.
Jake's ex-wife had filed for divorce in February, so he had 90 days to respond to that, and he was running out of time. He had no other resources of money available.
Was he working?
No, Your Honor, he was not. He quit his job in March.
Why?
Didn't like the job.
Well, if you quit the job in March of 2004, how were you paying child support?
Well, I had unemployment coming in.
How much was your child support?
And at that point,
order?
I wasn't paying child support any longer. I'd paid. I was told to stop paying by my attorney because I'd been paying to the tune of $4,700 a month for all bills, for everything, ever since we had separated. I paid for everything, Your Honor.
What did your wife do for a living?
She works at a counseling center at a university.
And what kind of work were you doing?
Factory rep.
What does that mean, a factory rep?
Worked for a major manufacturer selling their products.
When did you go back to work?
October 10th is when was my hire date.
So you had no more money in May of 2004, and you needed money for a divorce.
Correct.
So tell me about the discussion that you had with Miss Avila. Were you living together at the time?
We weren't living together. I always kept my own place. I stayed over at her place quite a bit, though.
Okay, so tell me about the discussion that you had with her.
We went through a lot.
I don't. Listen.
Initially,
you know, I got things to do. I'm not interested in your personal matters. I want to know what you said to her and what she said to you about the money.
Okay. I had done a lot for her, and she felt that she wanted to repay me back with the gift.
Don't tell me what she felt. Listen to me. First, I want to know what you said to her. Something like, "Wow, I just got served with these divorce papers, and I have 90 days in which to respond to these divorce papers. I need a lawyer, and I have no money." Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Somehow that had to happen before she had feelings that she wanted to help you. She had to know about the service of the papers and that you needed money for a lawyer. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
So let us start with there.
Okay.
Good.
She was witness to me getting the papers, and she knew I was trying to
Don't tell me what she knew. She was a witness to you being served?
Correct.
Where were you served?
At my place of employment.
You mean she was picking up for lunch? What was she doing there when she was a witness to you?
I brought the papers over to her house that evening.
Then she wasn't a witness to you being served. You see, you gotta be very careful what you say to me. She was not a witness to you being served, sir. You brought the papers home that night. And then you whip them out of your pocket and you say, ta-da.
I got served today.
Ah, there you go. I got served today. And she said to you,
what are you going to do about it?
And you said to her,
I'm going to try and get the funds from a family member or possibly a loan.
What family member was going to loan you money?
My sister.
Did you ask your sister?
No.
Why not?
Hadn't got there yet.
And she said to you?
She asked what I had done, and I looked into getting my own loan. Unfortunately, my wife at the time had scrapped a lot of our credit in the meantime.
So you were prepared to take out your own loan because you knew you had to have a lawyer, right?
Yep.
But for the fact that your ex-wife, or your wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, who she didn't know at the time, right? You didn't know her at the time.
Not personally, no, Your Honor.
No. But for the fact that she had scrapped your credit, you would have been able to get a loan and thoroughly anticipating paying it back.
Sure.
Of course. You can take out a loan without paying it back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about the discussion where you said to her, well, if you take out a personal loan, because you knew she was taking out a personal loan, right? Just like you were going to take out. What are you looking at me like I'm talking a foreign language? I'm still talking English. I'm still talking English. You know, the concept isn't very hard. This is the same kind of personal loan that you were trying to take out, and you couldn't because of the lousy credit that your wife had inflicted upon you.
Almost. I was going to take a second against the house, pay off all of our debt so that neither my ex-wife or myself were in debt. And
well, she wasn't going to allow you to do that. Listen to me. She wasn't going to allow you to. I know I gave you a minute to think, but you're not an idiot. I don't think you're an idiot. So your ex-wife is not going to allow you to take out a second mortgage on the house in order to pay for a lawyer to fight her. That would be very dumb. And your soon-to-be ex-wife doesn't sound like she's dumb.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Vila says ex-boyfriend Jacob Johnston owes for a loan to hire a lawyer. Jacob claims Janelle offered the money.
How many payments did you give her on this loan?
I don't remember making any payments to her.
How many payments did he make?
One, Your Honor.
When?
The first payment due July 5th, 2004. He paid me.
That sound familiar to you, sir?
I remember giving her $200 because she was tight. I didn't expect to be paying back anything at that point.
Well, when did you decide, Mr. Johnston, that you no longer wanted to be involved with Miss Avila?
After she became aggressive and upset.
Month and year?
June of 2004.
So within 4 weeks or so of getting this money, you took a hike?
I had taken a hike prior to that.
Tell me about that, sir.
We spent a lot of time up until the end, together up until the end of 2004.
Listen to me.
I had...
May of 2004, you took the check, paid for the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to what you're saying to me, sir. Be very, very careful, because you said to me that you were served with the papers May 6th. So you took the papers and you brought them home and showed them to her and said, gee, I got served. So at what point had you broken up prior to that?
Okay, so at the end of 2004, December, I had stopped spending nearly as much time with her and told her that I needed more space, and I didn't
Well, what was June of 2004 that you just told me about, sir?
03.
Shh.
Or 2003, excuse me, I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. We weren't spending
You're
nearly
talking
as
about
much
in December of 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I wanted my space. I didn't think she was the right one to introduce to my daughter.
Then what'd you take her money for?
We had spent some time.
Why did you take her money?
Because I'd helped her out through a lot of difficult times, and she asked if she could give me the money because of all the help I had given her.
Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
See, I knew I was going to let you talk. Let's talk about character. You're not supposed to use people, Mr. Johnston.
It's never my intention to use it.
It was. When you put someone in debt in order to satisfy your need, when you have no legitimate intentions, because she had legitimate intentions, she still cared about you, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
I still cared about her, too.
That's not what you just told me. You said listen to me, I needed my space. I didn't think she was the one to introduce to my daughter. All of those things, then you don't put her in debt. And once you're back to work, and if you did stop seeing her 4 weeks later, you say, Janelle, listen, at the time I really needed the money. I thank you for taking out this personal loan. I don't want you to be behind the 8 ball. I'm going to pick up the payments because I had thoroughly intended to take out a loan myself to pay a lawyer. And since I couldn't get the credit, you were great to help me out. But I'm going to take over the payments. We're no longer together. We're not related to each other. I'm not going to see you anymore. I'm moving on with my life. I don't want you to feel as if you've been put upon. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's being a moral person. So I wouldn't allow you to represent toilet paper, sir. Because that's what I think of your moral character if you stuck her with this loan. Judge for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Perhaps he had no money to repay since he wasn't working. You know, can't get blood out of a turnip.
It comes back to some of those personal issues that I'd rather not bring up.
Ladies, if you see this man coming, hang on to your money and run the other way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dowling versus Shelley. Step forward, please.
Artist Megan Dowling is suing computer support technician Keith Shelley for the cost to fix a marble table. Megan says the table was damaged when a drunken Keith fell on it.
Miss Dowling, according to your complaint, Mr. Shelley, while in your home, broke a table, an antique table of yours.
Correct.
You want him to pay to have it repaired. Now, how do you know Mr. Shelley?
He's an employee of a friend of mine.
How did it come about that he was at your home?
Well, I had gone over to my friend's place of employment. He owns a warehouse where he works, and Keith was working there. And the friend brought out a bunch of wine after work, and we were sipping wine, and we all went to dinner after that.
So first you were drinking at the warehouse?
Correct.
How long did that drinking last at the warehouse?
Oh, about 45 minutes.
After you finished drinking at the warehouse, you all went out for dinner. How many people went out for dinner?
4.
Raise your hands. 1, 2. Either of you there? Raise your hand if you all went out for dinner.
No, I wasn't there. I'm sorry.
Who do you live with?
I had a roommate, this gentleman over here, Bill Gaylord, who's a witness.
Were you there when this happened with the table?
Yes, I was.
But you had not been out for dinner with them?
No, I have not.
So first you went out for dinner, 4 of you. And how long was dinner?
Pretty short. It's about an hour.
Did you drink?
I think I had a half a glass of wine.
Well, you had been drinking at the warehouse.
I had a glass of wine.
Okay. How did Mr. Shelley end up back at your house?
I invited my friends and Mr. Shelley for a postprandial cocktail.
A what?
A post-dinner cocktail, a nightcap. I had some very excellent rum, and I thought I'd introduce them to...
And what time did you get back to your house?
Oh, I don't know, approximately 8.
But none of the other friends took you up on it, only Mr. Shelley, according to your complaint.
They originally were going to come over, but then they decided to not come after all.
And Mr. Shelley came over?
Correct.
And you gave him some of this wonderful rum?
Right.
What'd you drink?
I had some rum.
How much?
Oh, I don't know, about 2 drinks.
What about Mr. Shelley?
Well, he originally said he was going to have just 1 drink and then go. And I said, that's fine. I don't really want to share an entire bottle of rum with you.
Did you say that to him?
Yeah, yeah. And so I poured us both a glass of rum, and he finished it, and he proceeded to grab the bottle of rum and continue to pour it on his own. And I was getting a little irritated.
Did you tell him to stop?
I said, yeah, slow down, big boy, you know, because he started to show signs of inebriation.
So you told him to slow down, but you didn't tell him to stop. When did you get home that evening, sir?
I got home about 10, maybe 15 minutes before the incident.
Why don't you step up here? Tell me your last name.
Gaylord.
You rent a room, share an apartment?
I was subletting a room from her at the time, yes.
Tell me what you saw when you came home.
They were sitting down together, having a drink.
And?
He was getting up just about to leave, And I was going to see him to the door, so I headed towards the front door, and the moment I had turned the back is when I heard the crash.
So he fell over a table.
More on it. So, large heavy marble top.
He wasn't hurt, was he?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
Go ahead.
I also had told Keith to stay at my house a little longer before he left because I saw that he was a little inebriated. And I said, either you stay here or you take a cab home, but I'm not letting you drive like this. So.
Right, because you know what could happen?
I could get sued and he could hurt people.
You're right.
Yep.
You could get sued if he drove and hurt people.
I am well aware of that.
Because you served him alcohol in your house.
That's correct.
So if you know, Miss Dowling, that if you serve someone alcohol in your house and they become inebriated, and if they go out and if they get into their car and if they injure somebody, you can be liable, right?
Yes.
Why don't you think you're liable for your own table?
Well, I detained him.
You can sit down now, sir. What you're claiming is that he was drunk and fell on your table. Well, that's what you said here.
Yeah, but I detained him for a couple of hours before he got up and decided that he was going to leave. And I said, "Are you sure you're okay?" And he says, "Yeah, I feel fine." And he by all accounts,
that's what every drunk says when they get behind the wheel of a car.
Well, but he looked fairly lucid. And
just a minute. So he looked okay to you?
Well, I didn't give him a field sobriety test, but I mean.
All right, Mr. Shelley, let me hear your version of these events, sir.
The way the coffee table and the couches are, it's like an L couch, and the coffee tables don't give a lot of room for regaining one's balance when if you lose your stepping. Right there at the corner of the coffee table, the rugs, there's like rugs on top of the wall-to-wall carpeting. And I tripped on that. That could have happened whether I was drinking or not. And as I started falling, she starts yelling at me. Nothing about, "Are you okay?" Just as I'm losing balance, she starts yelling. And of course, I went down on the table. It was some kind of antique thing, I'm really sorry that that happened, but.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mr.
Sure.
Shelley, because I believe that you're probably sorry it happened, and I believe that Ms. Dowling is partially responsible. Did you ever say to her, "Listen, let me split the cost of fixing this table with you"?
I don't recall exactly,
Let's say, put your hand down, Ms. Dowling. Let's say you didn't say it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Would you think that that's reasonable now?
That sounds reasonable now.
You had a little too much to drink?
Yeah.
She served you a little too much to drink?
It was right there on the coffee table.
Maybe she served you a little too much to drink.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that, Miss Dowling?
Well, first of all, the minute I saw that he was inebriated and he was grabbing the bottle and helping himself, I confiscated the alcohol.
Listen, you were probably three sheets to the wind yourself. You had started to drink at 5:30 in the afternoon. You were still drinking at, according to him, 10 o'clock at night, and according to you, you were still drinking rum. You had a rum with him.
I don't think 4 drinks over a 5 hours.
You don't know whether he had 4 drinks or 14 drinks. How much did it cost to fix the table? And do you have a bill?
$500.
You have a bill?
Mm-hmm.
Let me have it.
Your Honor, I'd also like to say he went home later on that night. These guys poured him into a cab. They had to physically force him into a cab. And he never came back to get the table.
He shouldn't have come back to get the table. You're going to pay half the table, and he's going to pay half the table.
I attempted to ask him to
Isn't that right, sir? Because you think that that's just reasonable. You're a big grown-up. You're going to take a certain amount of responsibility for what you do. Right?
Yes. Yes, I agree. Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. Now, if I could only get Miss Dowling to take similar responsibility on her own, I would be a happy person today. But since I am not able to do that, I'm going to have to do it for her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all.
I wasn't inebriated, and I did confiscate the bottle.
I remember her taking that. I remember her saying it was very expensive rum.
He was taking the bottle and pouring his own drinks like it was water.
It was good stuff.
It's expensive rum. It's delicious and heavenly rum, and I just didn't feel like having it all guzzled down, My
question is, why is it sitting right there, in front of me, and a glass with ice in it, waiting for me to, help myself?
When I finally was able to talk to him, he said, "Well, you were the one plying me with alcohol."
I could get through the rest of my life without ever hearing from her again.
Attendant Darlene Rao is suing her neighbor, postal worker Raul Cruz, for damaging her fence and pool by throwing rocks. Raul says he was merely returning the rock she dumped on his property.
All rise.
This is case number 395 on the calendar in the matter of Rao versus Cruz. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Rao, you and the defendant are next-door neighbors.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you have adjoining backyards.
Yes.
Adjoining yards. And it is your claim that Mr. Cruz threw some junk into your backyard, and in doing so damaged some of your property. You want him to pay for that property. Mr. Cruz seems to indicate that while he did place some things in your yard,
Yes, ma'am.
he was merely returning the stuff that you had put in his yard.
Correct, Your Honor.
So it sounds to me like you people need something else to do. When did the trouble start, Miss Rao, with Mr. Cruz?
When I saw that the land was eroding, I put rocks there to hold up the land, and Mr. Cruz came out and abruptly said, "What are you doing?" And I told him, I said, "We got a problem here. The land is going down the hill."
I don't understand. Do you have a photograph to show me
Yes,
what you
I do.
mean? I'd like to see it.
That's the photographs of the damage and the
Well, I don't
land.
want to see the damage. I'll take them all. Let me see if I can find what you're talking about. Okay. I'm looking at this picture. Is this the Is this the area where you were placing rocks?
Yes.
Okay. On whose property is this?
Mr. Cruz.
So you were placing rocks on Mr. Cruz's property?
Some of it is my property. I was placing it real close to the fence.
Well, you can't place rocks on his property, Miss Rao.
I was placing it on my property.
No, you also said you were placing it on his property. You cannot place rocks on his property. You cannot put anything on his property.
Right. I got his permission. When he came out and abruptly said, "What are you doing?" I told him, and he said, "Fine."
Just a second.
Okay.
Before you do it.
That's not true.
Okay. If that was true, that was very nice of him. But before you step on somebody else's property to make any alterations, you call them and you ask for permission. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, I'll start with you, Mr. Cruz. Why don't you tell me what happened?
November 2nd, we got up, and I looked out my kitchen window, and I actually could see up the slope to her house, and I saw some garbage, branches, tennis shoe. I see PVC pipe. I see a bucket. Those black ones when the plants come in. I told my wife I'll be right back. I went to her house, knocked on her door to see if she was there. I've cleaned it 3 times
Now,
already.
that's on your property?
Yes, ma'am. It's on my property.
Is this a back part of your property?
Yes, it's a back with a big slope, like maybe 70 feet long.
And on the other side of the property is?
Her fence and the pool.
Okay. So, just a second. So you went over to her house on the 2nd?
Correct.
And nobody answered?
Nobody answered the door, so I went home. I went up the slope. I picked up the black bucket, a couple of root plants, and a couple rocks, and I tossed it over the fence. And that dirt right there that you see was covered all with ice plant. There was no exposure of the PVC pipe. I have a picture, ma'am.
Let me see it, please.
I have a couple pictures. Plus, I also found a rock in my pool. And it's not rock, it's actually cement. Take a look through those. And there's also a picture of a ladder that she uses to climb over my fence. Because she's been in my property. I've seen her 3 times. The last time I saw her, she was just sitting there pulling some ice plants, and I said to my wife, let's just ignore her.
Why were you pulling these ice plants?
I got his permission. I asked him if he would please trim his ice plant because it was going under my fence and getting wrapped up in my vines. And he said he wouldn't. I said, do you mind if I do it? He said it was fine. So I hired a guy to trim his ice plant, and I told him at that time I was going to put rocks there to keep the land from going down the hill, and I was going to put plants there, plants with good roots to hold the soil. I was trying to better the property. I would never, ever, I was afraid of him. I'm still afraid of him. I would never put garbage on his place.
Miss Rao, listen to me. Somebody in your house was using part of his property to dump stuff.
No, Your Honor, no.
Well, otherwise what you're saying to me...
I don't know where the tennis shoe came from. I don't know, I have no idea where a tennis shoe came from. It was a huge man's tennis shoe. I live in my house by myself. I'm trying to clean up the area.
Okay. Now, I would like you to tell me what kind of damage you allege was done as a result of his throwing this debris over, and I want to see your police report, please.
He did not give a police report.
Well, if you don't have a police report, don't give me anything else.
What is his notice that he came out? I don't know why they didn't do a police report.
I don't know
He told
why.
Ron why he didn't do a police report.
Who are you?
My name's Ron Filipponi, Your Honor. I'm Mrs. Darlene's fiance.
Okay.
And I picked up the police report, and the Sheriff's Department did not do a police report on an incident because there was no threats made, and there was no physical
Well, that's not
damage.
true, because I have a police report here indicating that the alleged violation that Mr. Cruz was complaining of was trespassing, dumping onto property, and repeating violations.
Your Honor, anything I did was try to improve the property. I would never, first of all, I'm afraid of Mr. Cruz.
Ms. Rao, you cannot elect to improve somebody else's property.
It was to take care of my property, it's sliding down the hill.
You cannot elect to improve someone else's property.
I'm trying to prevent my land from going down. I was just going to put rock there to save the land.
I'm going to say it to you one more time. You can't do that. It's not your property.
Part of it is.
Part of it may be. The rest of it is his. You can't go on his property and put rocks on his property. You can't do that.
I put the rocks on the property because I didn't want to step on that pipe. I was trying to protect from stepping on the pipe. And then I could stand on a rock and move the, rather than standing on the soil and sliding down.
You can't do that.
And when I was doing that, I waved, he was in the window in the kitchen, and I waved to him and he waved back.
On my property. She's on my property waving at me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Lane Rao says neighbor Raul Cruz damaged her fence with rocks. Raul says it's Darlene who's dumping rocks on his property.
Now, I want you to show me what the damage was to your, whatever you say was damaged as a result of his throwing this stuff all the way down here.
Can you have the pictures of what's damaged?
No, I see a lot of schmutz, but I don't see much damage.
Well, this is part of the vase statue of the angel that he broke. This is what came off the chair that I passed it down from my mom to me. And there's a big bench there. You can see the damage to the big bench there.
You have a picture of the bench before?
Yes, I have a picture of the bench right here before.
Can I see it?
This is before, and this is after I did the work. This is where all his plants were coming up.
No, I just want to see the picture of the bench.
And the bench is here, and the bench is here. There's all these pictures of the bench.
I also have a picture of her property, and she has like maybe 1.5 feet of white rock. If she wants to do something to prevent it from going down, she could build a retaining wall on that white rock she has.
Listen to me. You can't throw the rocks on her property because you got in a snit.
I was just returning it.
I heard you, Mr. Cruz. I mean, I've tried to explain to this lady who doesn't seem to get it. Maybe you get it. Do you get it?
I get it, Your Honor.
Good. I'm glad you get it. Maybe later, you know, in a quiet moment, you give her a glass of red wine. Maybe you can explain it to her that she cannot go on somebody else's property.
That's sound advice.
It's sound advice,
yes,
right? So you have to stay on your own land. In the meantime, I don't see a picture of this bench that you allege he damaged before.
Can I come up there and show it to you, please?
Sure. Show me a picture. Listen to me. I see this picture. I see this picture of the bench here.
Right.
Damaged. And all I want you to show...
Here's the bench, right here.
I see the bench. I want you to show me a picture of the bench before you say this happened.
There's little snapshots here.
Well, show me.
Sorry, it's far away, but that's the bench.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Pay attention. I can't see anything from this picture. Could you see anything from this picture? The answer is yes or no.
Yes,
Can you see what the bench looked like in this picture?
Yes.
Well, I can't. I can't. Step back.
See it.
Mr. Cruz, good luck to you.
Thank you.
So,
I need it.
You still have a chance. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Good. You can't throw property like you did. And she may be irritating and she may cause you all kinds of problems, but you still cannot resort to that kind of self-help. Listen, Miss Rao, bottom line is you can't put your foot on somebody else's property.
I got permission from him, too, and I swear to God, it's the truth. I will, but I got permission from him.
Mr. Cruz, you have $1 in your pocket?
Yes, I do.
Take it out. Bird, take the $1. Give it to Miss Rao. That's your judgment for the damage that he did, Miss Rao. You don't seem to get it. I want you to get it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He gave me permission to put the rocks there, and I swear to God, that's the honest to God truth.
I think she's a good person, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we have differences, but let's just get along. We're neighbors.
He's a con man, and for some reason, I'm a victim.
Appraiser Paul Tumber is suing his ex-wife, Stephanie Sotenko, and her new husband, Ed Sotenko, for a loan to pay her mortgage and for his share of a vehicle.
Now, this is case number 420 on the calendar in the matter of Tumber versus Sotanko. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Tumber, this is your former wife and her present husband. And the two of you have been divorced for some time. You have a 17-year-old son. I assume that that is this young man over here.
That's
is that
correct.
right? According to the complaint that I've read, recently, after your divorce and after your former wife was remarried, she ran into some financial difficulty and called you and asked you for a loan. You obliged, according to you, advanced her some money, I think $750.
That's correct.
You want the money back.
Correct.
And in addition, your former wife and her husband purchased a car for your son.
Correct.
And you invested some money in that car in repairing it.
Correct.
Then you decided to buy your son a newer car. And according to you, there was an understanding that they would reimburse you when they sold the old car for the money that you had invested in it so that you could sort of put it towards the new car that you were buying from them.
Correct.
They sold the car and they didn't give you the money that you had invested in it.
Correct.
So you also want that money.
Correct.
When did your former wife call you for this initial loan?
It was around the beginning of this year, but around January.
What happened? You ran into some
2004.
financial difficulty?
The financial difficulty wasn't about me necessarily. It was regarding my son and expenses that we had with the car, with medical, and with a phone bill.
What do you mean the car? What kind of expenses?
Okay, the car that we purchased for my son was a car that we knew.
I don't care what you knew. You had expenses because you had to have it fixed?
Yes.
And how much did you need to have the car fixed?
There were different parts that we needed to buy. My husband did the repairs.
So you spent some of the money that he gave you to fix the car?
Correct.
How much?
The total that we spent on the repairs, just the parts alone of the receipts I could find,
yes,
was $224 and 3 cents.
$224 to fix the car?
For the parts.
Fine. I don't care what your husband's labor was. That's not important to me. What else did you need money for?
My son had a cell bill.
Who bought him a cell phone?
I did.
So why was it your former husband's responsibility?
It wasn't, except for my son went over the minutes, and he did this more than one occasion.
Did your former wife tell you, Mrs. Sotanko, tell you that this money she was asking you for was for your son?
No, Your Honor, she
What did
didn't.
she tell you?
It was for mortgages on the home that she was in arrears of.
Were you in arrears on your mortgage?
I was never in arrears on my mortgage.
Did you tell him that you needed money to pay your mortgage?
I told him that I couldn't pay the mortgage and everything else, that my son's cell bill was so much money, my son's medical bills that the insurance didn't cover was so much money.
You pay child support, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
How much do you pay?
Just shy of $600 a month, I believe.
Okay. How much money did you
Your
give?
Honor, that's not true.
How much does he give you?
$370 a month.
How do you account for the discrepancy, Mr. Tumber?
I'm not sure how much I pay, to be honest with you, Your Honor.
So why don't you say, I'm not
Spent-
sure? I don't know is something that a man can say.
I don't know.
3 little words.
I don't know.
Don't know.
Correct, thank you.
Well, you should know how much child support you pay. Do you pay it pursuant to income deduction order? Or
Yes.
So it comes right out of your pay?
Right out of my check, yes.
So it's not $600, it's $370 a month, according to you. Is that what you receive, or do you receive more if there is some in arrears?
$370 a month, Your Honor.
Period?
Period.
Okay, fine. How much money did you loan to her, sir?
$750.
Oh, that's not true, Your Honor.
Show me.
Your Honor, I'd like to
You have a
submit.
check?
Yes.
Let me see it,
Canceled checks with her signature on them.
Your Honor, he could have written anything in after the fact.
No, I'm just looking at the canceled checks, madam. And I'm even looking for the memo. The memo is irrelevant. You owe him $750. I think it's very nice that you can call him and say, listen, I ran into some financial difficulties and I need some money and your son lives with me, so could you do it for me?
But, Your Honor, that's not how it happened.
Did you sell the car? We're
Yes,
going to
we
get to the
sold the
car
car.
now.
But-
Just a second. We're going to get to the car. You and your husband bought a car, and you bought a car for your son. And according to you, some of the money that you got from him was used to fix the car.
Correct.
Right. Then you sold the car.
Correct.
How much money did you give him? I just answer my question. How
Zero.
much money did you give
Zero.
him? Zero. How much did you sell the car for?
$1,000.
Well, if he paid for the parts to fix the car, why didn't you think it was appropriate that if he was buying your son a new car, for you not to at least reimburse him for what he had spent Don't you think that that's appropriate? Fair? Reasonable? If I believe you, Mrs. Satango, if I believe you, you were able to call your former husband and say to him, despite the fact that you are under a court order and paid child support, it's not enough. Because I have some bills that I'm having trouble paying for our son. He went over his minutes on a cell phone that I bought him. That's not his fault. You choose to buy him a cell phone, 17-year-old kid, and he's not responsible enough? That's not his father's problem because you provided him with the vehicle to be irresponsible. But he was, according to you, he was a nice guy and said, here's the money. According to you, he was a nice guy when you say I had to fix the car and I need some parts. According to you, he was a nice guy, gave you the money. According to you, despite the fact that he pays child support and is not in arrears, he had some unreimbursed medical bills, and he said, here's the money. So I'm asking you, if he was a nice guy, how come when you sold the car and he was buying him a new car, you didn't say, here's the money that you laid out for the parts?
The car was bought because the car that we bought for my son wasn't good enough, wasn't cool enough. They bought the car. I had nothing to do with that, neither did my husband. We have endured financial difficulty. We did not say that we were going to give him the money. It wasn't for my son to barter. It wasn't for him to barter. We paid the mortgage with the money, and that's the circumstance we're under right now.
So why didn't you just say that to me instead of giving me a whole lot of who shot John? You paid the mortgage. You borrowed money from him and paid a mortgage.
I thought you knew that. I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Ex-wife Stephanie Sotenko owes for a loan and for proceeds from the sale of their son's vehicle.
Listen, you're a nice guy and she owes you $750 because I believe it was a loan. Now, you tell me about the contract that you say you had with her with regard to paying you back for the money that you invested in the old car.
Okay, well, the verbal contract was that when the vehicle was sold, that I would recoup the money for the parts for the repairs, which I have canceled checks for right here.
Can I see them, please?
There never was a
Who did you make?
I'm sorry?
Who did you make this contract with, sir?
With Stephanie.
Can I say something, Your Honor, or do I need to speak in turn? Or
No, now you tell me.
As far as the car, how many fathers give money toward repairs of their son's car and then ask for it back after the car is sold?
Well, let me tell you what usually happens. Usually, if boy has a car and if he wants a better car, and his parents, they are reasonable, say, listen, we'll sell this car, we'll use whatever money we get from this car, we'll put it towards another car. That's what parents do. What you did was you took money from your former husband, because these are your canceled checks.
I didn't take money toward the
Yes, you did.
Your Honor, I did not ask him for the money for the parts for the car. He willingly gave me that money.
Because he's a nice guy.
So he was a nice guy and did that for our son.
Just a second, he's a nice guy. And you're supposed to be responsible. You're supposed to be moral. You're supposed to be a moral example for your child. You are not.
I am not?
No, you are not. You are not.
Okay.
Because if he is being a nice guy, what you're supposed to be is a moral example for your son and say, listen, we sold the car for $1,000. You put in practically that. I'm speaking. You put in practically that. I'll be more than happy to give that money towards the new car so that we will jointly, in some way, have contributed to the car that our son is driving. You chose not to do that. You owe him the money for the repairs to the car because I believe you had an agreement, if you sold the car, to give him back that money. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,595. That's it.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If I had had the money, morally, I would have given the money.
I'm in a financial position. I don't make a lot of money, that I just wanted my funds back.
I didn't really want to be here, but I guess it's the best way to do it.
It's no love lost between my son and I.
Be sure that you know what and who you're dealing with.
Did we learn anything today? I don't really think so.
Case number 2039, Mormon versus Strauss. All parties, please step forward.
Derek Mormon is suing his former friend, Sherry Strauss, for car repairs and harassment.
Mr. Mormon, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
A casual friend, a romantic friend?
Maybe both, a casual romantic friend.
How long do you know her?
14 years at least, probably closer to 15, yeah.
Were you ever together as a couple?
No, ma'am.
And it is your claim that because she was in financial trouble, you extended a loan to her to fix her car.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about. You also say she harassed you, but most of this case is about the loans to fix her car. Ms. Strauss says that you did, in fact, work on her car, but you caused more damage to it than it originally had, and she is counterclaiming for car repairs that she has to make because of work that you did on the car. Who is this person?
My fiance.
Okay, he's not a mechanic.
No.
And who is the woman?
She is the property manager of the motel that I'm living in.
So you don't have a mechanic to testify today to anything?
No, I do have...
The answer is no.
No, but I do have an estimate.
I don't care about an estimate. Okay, so I would like you to tell me, Ms. Strauss, when did you start to have trouble with your car?
March 2nd of 2022.
And where were you living at the time?
I had just moved into the motel.
Had you been spending any time with Mr. Mormon?
Previous to that, no.
Previous to March of 2022?
That's correct.
After March of 2022, did you spend any time with Mr. Mormon?
I did, yes.
Did you stay at his home?
I went there occasionally, yes.
No, but I'm asking, did you stay over at his home?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started to have trouble with the car in March, when you hadn't been staying at Mr. Mormon's house, did you call him and let him know you were having trouble with your car?
I did as a friend, yes.
And what did you say to him, and what did he say to you?
I just told him I dropped my son off at his taekwondo, and we were trying to leave, and my car was not working.
And what did he say to you?
That he will come and help me.
And help you?
Yeah.
That was on March 2nd?
That was on March 2nd, yes.
And did he come to the motel where you were staying?
No, he did not.
Well, how did he come and help you with the car?
Because my car was at my son's taekwondo, so he went there.
He came to where you were? And did he take your car someplace?
Not on that day, no.
What did he do on that day?
On that day, he took me and my son home.
So that was March 2nd. Keep going. March 2nd, March 3rd.
And then on March 3rd, we ended up having my car taken over to O'Reilly's. Well, we got a battery.
How much was it?
It was $167.
Who paid for it?
I did.
So then you were driving it again? It's not, yes.
Correct.
Okay. And when was the next time there was difficulty with the car?
Then the next time was March 7th. It died again.
So on March 7th, the car died again? And what did you do?
Then on March 7th, I called him and told him that something's wrong with my car again. Now it's not starting again.
Okay. And tell me why you called him.
Because as a good friend, like I said, we've been friends for 15 years. As it is, I don't ask anybody for help. I usually try to do everything on my own. But,
okay, so you called him and said the car died again?
Yep, but he had made it known that he was knowledgeable about cars, so I figured that maybe he would know what was going on.
You know who else is knowledgeable? Mechanics. You want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
He showed up at my motel threatening.
What did he want?
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, "Oh, it's not about the money." He goes, "I just want you."
Derek Mormon says his former friend Sherry Strauss owes for car repairs. Sherry is countersuing, claiming Derek damaged her car, trying to fix it.
Okay, so on the 7th, you called him again and said, "I'm having trouble." What did he do?
Then on the 7th, I had to go to work, so I had another friend take me to work. He came and picked me up from work, and we took my car back over to O'Reilly's, took the battery out, had them test it. The battery had been drained. Figured it was the alternator, got the alternator. He put the alternator in.
Who paid for all of these repairs? That's what it's about.
I paid for them.
So what is he suing for?
Because later on, my brakes and rotors went out and I got a flat tire. So at that time, yes, I did call him and let him know.
On what date was that?
That was on April 16th of 2022.
Okay. Well, right now it's gone on the fritz on the 2nd, the 7th, and April 16th. So that's a lot of aggravation. So on April 16th fiasco with the car and the repairs, how much was that?
$234.
Who paid for that?
He said that he would pay for it. He originally told me that his mechanic would allow me to make payments. And when we went to go pick it up on April 22nd, found out that that was not the case.
Okay, so he wasn't going to allow you to make payments, which mechanics usually don't. So how much was the bill?
So the bill was $567.91.
And he paid for that because they wouldn't let you make payments?
He paid for that because he knew I was...
No, not he knew. You were originally going to pay for that and make payments to Just
to make payments.
You were originally going to pay for it and make payments. You found out that you couldn't make payments, so he said, fine, I will make the full payment to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was always your intention to pay for the repairs of the car, only you wanted to pay for it in a slower fashion.
Right, I was going to make the payments to the mechanic, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, did you pay him back any of the $567?
I gave him $300 to help him with rent, but
Just a second. Tell me when you gave him $300 for rent.
I gave him the $300 on April 29th.
That was after you picked up the car. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she give you $300 for rent?
No, Your Honor. I don't need anybody to help me pay my rent.
Do you have any proof that you gave him $300 for rent, a withdrawal from a bank, or anything?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so far you owe $567. Is that what you paid for her in April?
No, Your Honor. I paid $674.76.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, April 18th. $674. Would you show this to Ms. Strauss? Okay. Mr. Mormon?
Yes, Your Honor.
There subsequently came a time, which I think probably was a more social issue than anything else, when the defendant advised...
I have a different one that shows the receipt right there.
May I see it?
The $567.91.
Well, I actually am not understanding this. He paid for this with his Visa card. Is that right?
That's correct.
Could you explain this to me? This is your Visa card. This is the same invoice. One of them is for $567.91, and the one that you gave me, the same invoice number, is $674.76. Sarah, would you do me a favor, please?
Sure.
Would you add up?
From both or just the top one?
Well, let's start with just the top one, for which there is a Visa receipt. So I gather that all this became problematic when you started to see a serious boyfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, after March, you said you stayed occasionally at Mr. Mormon's. When you stayed at Mr. Mormon's, was that more of a social? I mean, was it a more intimate relationship than just social friends? This was after March, after you were in the motel.
We're kind of like friends with, benefits in a way, so yeah.
All right, and then you found someone new, and according to him, you advised him that you had somebody new, and now he wants the money for the car, which you were going to pay anyway. You were going to pay it.
I figured it was a friend helping a friend. I didn't
No,
think
it
of it as a
wasn't.
loan.
No. It wasn't. Even you say, Ms. Strauss, it was your intention to pay this bill for your car as you would pay the other bills for your car. However, when you got there, you found you couldn't make time payments. So he said, well, you need a car. I'll lay it out up front. But it was always your intention to pay for your own car. Do we have a...
That is the correct number. And then at the bottom, that totals. And then the additional to bring you to 567 is the tax.
Okay. Now, so the next part of your case is about harassment. By whom and for what?
Your Honor, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture...
That's this gentleman.
Yes, ma'am. He was a man of his word, and he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer, which I didn't.
Okay, so you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Text messages. My witness here, Miss Montoya.
No, just a second.
Okay.
Text messages what?
Just saying, hey, leave her alone, which is fine.
Okay, that's all right. That's not harassment.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, fine.
But it was, hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm a man of my word.
Okay, well, you're not
Where's my
suing him,
money?
so who cares about that?
Yeah.
She owes you $567. That's what you put on your Visa. Now, let's get to your money owed for car repairs and harassment. Okay. Now, you don't have a mechanic here, so what your claim is that whatever he did to the car, he didn't do well, so you had to take the car, or you're going to have to take the car to another mechanic. I don't care. You would plan to fix this car yourself. The problem was with payments. If you had to make additional repairs to the car, that's not his problem. Okay, now you want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
Well, that's why I have my two witnesses here. He spent a lot of time calling me names. He's called my fiance names. He showed up at my motel threatening and stuff like that. So
what did he want?
He wanted his money.
Okay.
But at one point,
Now he's got it. I don't need to speak to you.
No, but
now he's got his money.
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, "Oh, it's not about the money." He goes, "I just want you." He's got several messages from me how he loves me, he wants to be with me, and all this and that.
Yeah, but you don't love him and you don't want to be with him, so now you have to pay him for your car repairs. $567.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor. This court is adjourned.
Hey, justice was served, and that's all that matters.
It was about because he didn't have me. I went with somebody else, and I wasn't with him.
She was a friend, and I tried to help her out.
We've been friends for a long time, so I told him we would be, that I wanted to be his friend.
I ain't gonna help, I can tell you that.
I want to continue the friendship, and he didn't want that.
No, never again on her, no.
Time to find another mechanic.
So I really didn't have so much trouble with that case because the defendant had really planned on paying for her car repairs. Do I think that the guy said to her, "You can make payments," and when she got there, he said, "No, who knows? It's not worth it."
Yeah.
He felt used.
Which I think is valid.
Which, give somebody money and then you've had sort of a friends with benefits relationship and all of a sudden you got somebody new and you're driving around in a car that you paid to repair. Anyway, it was simple and easy.
It was. They're not all that easy.
Ellen Henderson is suing her ex-roommate, Tara Williams, for breaking a lease and filing a false restraining order.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2023, Henderson versus Williams.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Henderson, you and your kids and Miss Williams and her kids decided to rent a house together.
Yes.
And when was that initially?
We moved in January 21st of 2021.
How large a house was it?
5-bedroom.
And who moved in with you?
Me, my 2 children, Tara, her 3 children, and...
The third roommate?
Yes.
What was your share of the rent?
The share of the rent?
Yours?
$14.95.
And yours?
We paid, me and her split it, and then took cash from...
The third roommate?
Yes, so $14.95 too.
And you lived there for a year. What I gather is sort of towards the end of the year, things were getting a little testy between the two of you, either because of you or because of the kids. You had children, and things weren't working out, so that both of you were not real happy with each other. That be a fair statement?
Yes. It started earlier in 2021.
I'm sure, but at the time that the lease was up, you both weren't really happy with each other. And according to your complaint, she left, you were stuck paying the rent, and she had signed a renewal of the lease, and you want her to pay her portion of the rent until you found a new roommate, which you actually found a new roommate several months later. The defendant says she told you that she was contemplating living with you for another year, that her speculation that you went into her room and took a signed copy of the lease and gave it to the rental agent or whoever it was.
It would have been in the kitchen in my area where my papers were.
Whatever. Yeah. And it was never her intention to sign a second lease. Your lease was up in January of 2022.
Yes.
The defendant was away for a period of time. When was the defendant away? Just prior to January of 2022.
She went to Hawaii for a week.
When?
I think she left on January 8th, give or take a day, I don't remember.
And did you return the signed copies of the lease to the landlord?
No, they were turned in December.
By both of you?
For the lease renewal, all 3 of us re-signed in December. And I have a copy of that.
What I'm asking you is, were they turned in, because that's very easy to verify, were they all turned in before she went to Hawaii?
Yes.
Okay. I'll see what you have. Well, Miss Williams, if it's your statement that she took your signed copy of the lease and turned it in without your permission at some point when you were in Hawaii, that's what you're alleging. If this doesn't bear that out, Miss Williams, I'm going to tell you it doesn't lend itself to the truth of that statement because this indicates that the 2 of you and the third roommate signed this on December the 19th. Then you turned it in. Then it was turned in. That was before you went to Hawaii. The landlord signed it on December 20th, which means that if the landlord signed it on December 20th, he signed it before you went to Hawaii, which means she couldn't have stolen your copy of the lease.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah, no, I'm not stating I was in Hawaii when she turned it in. I left for Hawaii January 8th through the 18th.
I understand that.
Okay. I was unaware.
When our lease was up for renewal, we weren't getting along, and I was on the fence about spending another year with Ellen. In December, we received a copy of the lease renewal. I felt pressured into signing it, but then we told Ellen we needed more time, just you. I had to leave town. Well, I don't know, you don't have any witness here because you say I had to leave town, so I decided to hold on to the lease until I returned. Where did you go?
I went to Hawaii.
Well, that was in January.
Yes.
Well, but the landlord got a copy of the signed agreement December 20th.
I didn't know it was turned in.
Oh, well,
I didn't receive an
I
email.
don't know whether it was turned in or not.
So I emailed Rentcon, and I have messages stating it was received from Ellen.
Okay. I'll see what you have.
Okay.
No. This doesn't say that at all. The lease renewal was signed by all 3 tenants. Correct. Lease was signed by all 3 tenants, and it was received before you went to Hawaii on the 20th of December. Okay. Easy. You moved out in February?
January 31st of 22.
When was the first lease up?
The 22nd of January 22.
So you stayed on after the lease was up?
Yes.
Why?
I wasn't completely moved out yet. I was in Hawaii. I had reached out to Rincon about paying extra to pay the extra few days.
No. Okay. And when did you get a new roommate? Did you keep blowing her off or did you answer her?
No, I
didn't. No, just a second.
I did not.
Did you blow her off or did you answer? So the answer is you blew her off. You blew her off.
Yes.
About the rent, which she was stuck with.
Right.
Right. Okay, good.
Ellen Henderson claims her ex-roommate, Tara Williams, broke their lease and filed a false restraining order against her. Tara is countersuing for a security deposit, utilities, and damaged property.
Okay, when did you get a new roommate?
She moved in April 18th.
Did she pay January's rent?
Yes.
So you're talking about February and March.
February, March, and then prorated April.
Well, February and March, $14.95, $29.90. Okay, the next part of your case involves filing for a false restraining order. Did you file a restraining order, Miss Williams, against Miss Henderson?
Yes.
I'd like to see what it says. No, don't give me that whole thing. Your application for a restraining order, I'd like to see what your application for... Don't hand them that whole thing. I said I'd like to see what your application for a restraining order said. Okay, so what you say is she sent you 3 letters. You're asking because she sent you 3 letters. They were annoying. I want to know what she was asking for in those letters. Was she asking for rent money? Was she asking for rent?
Yes.
Okay, so she was asking for her money.
Yes.
For your rent money for the months that she didn't have a roommate. Well, that's not harassment, madam.
There's more, but...
What?
There's more. She's telling me that I stole some of her stuff and stuff. In the first letter, it says, if you don't pay this in 5 days, we'll take...
Yeah, she's allowed to say that. Okay.
Yeah, which
so
is
she wrote
totally
to you.
fine, but she sent it 2 more times, emailed it, and then showed up at my children's school while I was dropping them off.
Did you keep blowing her off or did you answer her?
No, I
No, just a second.
I did not
Did you blow her off or did you answer? So the answer is you blew her off.
Yes, I was fine with going to court.
You blew her off.
Yes.
About the rent, which she was stuck with.
Right.
Right. Okay, good. $29.90 is what she owes you for rent. Now, part of your counterclaim for get money for damages, you get security deposit. How much was her security deposit?
We paid equally between me and her.
No, how much did she pay?
It was half of...
How much was your security deposit?
$1,747.50.
1,747. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And where is her security deposit?
In our lease, it states that if you break the lease, the deposit stays with the house. And I have an email from the property management stating that same thing, that She signed a lease saying that if she leaves early, the money stays with the house until everyone moves out.
So the security deposit, if you and your new roommate keep the house safe, you're going to get back.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't allege any damage. Is that correct?
I had to clean up the carpets in her room upstairs. And
Okay, do you have an invoice for that?
No, I did it myself.
Okay. 2990 less 1747?
$1,243.
So far, she owes you $1,243. That's less the security deposit, which you and your hopefully neat roommate will get back.
May I say something about the payments for rent? So it was me and her doing equal rent at $1,795.25. So that's what I paid. Me and her paid that in January, and I paid the entire amount in February, March.
I understand she was no longer paying rent. You're getting the rent, but I'm deducting from that.
My portion is $1,795, and that's what I'm asking her for, because that's what her portion was when she moved out as well.
Just a second. Am I correct that she, at the time you moved in, individually paid as a security deposit $1,747? Is that correct?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the rent payments. It's not $1,495, it's $1,795.
Was your rent each month $1,495 or $1,795?
$1,495.
Can I see it? Anybody have any proof of that?
I printed out the log, but she paid us $300 each in cash. So there's no, she is on the lease, but it does not show she was paying cash.
You mean the third roommate?
Yes.
The third roommate?
Right.
So your amount was $1,495?
Correct.
I got it.
Up until the end of December.
Okay, I'm finished. Now, the next part of your counterclaim is for utilities. Security deposit you get back. What utilities do you think she owes you?
She did not pay me November, December, January, or February closing for utilities.
Did you pay them?
I paid them.
I'd like to see where you paid them. No, don't give me a whole bunch of papers. I don't want to see a whole bunch of papers that I have to go through. I want to see what utilities there were, when you sent her a statement of what the utilities were.
Yes.
I assume it worked that she paid you a portion of the utilities.
Yes, it was
What
split.
portion of the utilities did you pay?
We split it equally the whole time we were there.
Okay, so whatever utility bills that were paid by her, you were supposed to pay half.
Correct. Which
did you?
My last payment to her was December 4th for Spectrum, water, trash, and gas.
That was 12/4. How much did you pay her?
$364.61.
Okay, just a second. Did she pay you $364 in December?
She did for prior months.
So that was for November. That covered November. If it was paid in December, that covered November.
It would have been more so October. I
can't get involved with that, madam. Don't give him a whole bunch of papers. Don't give him a whole bunch of papers. December and January statement for utilities. You were gone in February.
Yes.
December and January bills for utilities. Did you pay those?
I did not, because she left me with all the rent.
I understand that, but now you're getting your rent. Now we're going to settle up on the utilities.
I didn't include it in the lawsuit, but she still owes me for trash. And I have a list of stuff that she took of mine that I did write.
I'm not interested in it, Miss Henderson. It didn't work out. You should be very happy. She's gone. You didn't like her.
She overcharged me utilities with her business expenses.
Okay.
Every month we lived there.
Did you come in contact with her on the 25th of May in a pedestrian car incident?
Not that I recall.
About 1 minute to 8 in the morning. Who drives a white minivan?
Me.
Ellen Henderson has accused her ex-roommate, Tara Williams, of breaking their lease. Tara claims she filed the restraining order because Ellen was stalking her.
Miss Henderson, it didn't work out. You should be very happy. She's gone. You didn't like her.
She overcharged me utilities with her business expenses.
Okay.
Every month we lived there.
We have a bill for December and January. If there's anything here that's not December and January, I'm dismissing that part of your claim. And I already have a bill that's dated April of 2022.
Right, that was for January and February water.
That's $390. Billing date $414. No.
It was.
No. I want you, because I'm losing my patience slowly. Please read out the bills, the total bills for December and January only. Sarah, get ready.
Can it go till February 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, while she's looking for that, did you go to her kid's school?
I served her a letter of default and a cease and desist letter in the parking lot of her school, kids' school. Because she didn't pick up a letter from the mailbox. She knew it was coming from me. And I had to go back to the mailbox and get it after a month.
Okay.
And I didn't know where she lived. I didn't know how else to reach her.
Okay. Did you come in contact with her on the 25th of May in a pedestrian car incident?
Not that I recall.
At about 1 minute to 8 in the morning. Who drives a white minivan?
Me. What was the date?
May 25th.
Oh, yeah, that was her kid's school. That was her kid's school when I delivered the letter.
Well, that's why she filed for protective order against you. Not unreasonable. It was dismissed after a hearing, or it was just dismissed?
It was dismissed after a hearing.
Yeah. Part of your claim for filing a false restraining order is dismissed. I could actually see why you would get frightened if somebody went to your kid's school to serve you papers. Okay, what are the bills for utilities?
Can I just say something?
Sure.
I had to give her those letters in order to file for small claims.
Okay.
I had tried to mail it, and she didn't go to the post office.
I got it. Could we have the utilities? Which utility and what is it? You should have all this together for me and not make it difficult. Okay. This is why you were coming. Don't read out the numbers, what the utility is for what month and the amount.
So water, $257.94. Water for February was $132.09. For 1203 bill date for electricity was $167.
What date?
12/23.
That's December.
Yes,
but that was for November.
I thought we were doing December, January.
For December, but you wouldn't have gotten December's bill in December. You would have gotten it in January.
It was prepared 1203.
Right, but that's dealt with November. It was prepared 1203. They're not prorated. Come on, let's go.
Okay, 204. This was prepared for electricity, 7472.
Okay.
This one was for the date that I ended of 128 to 201. It was 1278 for Edison electricity.
Let's move on.
And then this is gas for 1229 to 127. It was 3704. And then the ending charges was 572.
Got it. $5.72. I can't believe it. Okay, would you add those up?
Yeah.
And your arrangement with her, Ms. Henderson, was that you each paid half of the utilities. Is that right?
Yeah. Can I say something about that too? Back in April or May of 2021, I went to her to speak and ask about me paying less for water, gas, and electric because she brought all of her Airbnb laundry. She has a cleaning business. And our washers and dryers were going constantly.
And?
And she didn't meet me halfway, so I was stuck paying half.
Fine.
I have the total whenever you're ready. 507.51.
Divide it by 2.
$254.
1243 less 254. 1243 is what she's owed now, less the security deposit. I love this case. Couldn't be more excited about it.
$989.
Judgment for the plaintiff, $989.
Your Honor,
They're finished. Thank you very much. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you.
It's sad that I lost, but I put up a good fight.
I'm happy with the decision.
She didn't want to live with me, that there were issues. Why would you turn in a lease to renew for a whole nother entire year with someone?
It's been a lot of stress.
I wanted her to file suit so I could see her in court in order to take care of the matter.
I had nowhere to go, and I didn't think she was going to renew, to be honest.
0 roommates. Don't do it.
I mean, I went into it thinking that this was going to be a good situation. I really got along, and I loved her and her kids, and I don't know that I could have done anything different.
So the new phenomenon that I've seen over this past generation, for as long as I've been in this business, is because of the economy, people having to live together that are neither in love with each other or related to each other. And I actually think, Sarah, that's such a very hard thing to do. You know, this isn't the first case that we've had that involved adults and their kids having to, for financial reasons, move in with each other. I think I've always said, and I don't know how you feel about this, that I'd rather live in a shoebox alone than with strangers in more comfortable surroundings.
Sure. I think that's a tough call that a lot of people are having to make nowadays with the cost of living and inflation.
Young people.
Young people. 2 single mothers trying to live together with their children to give them a home environment. So it's a risk that you take when you don't know the other person. Even when you do know them, we see family members fighting all the time. So I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I don't know. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people have to make those kinds of choices for happiness. Shouldn't create that kind of stress.
I think the best thing you can do is have a concrete contract to fall back on for if something like this happens, because it's a very stressful situation.
Yeah, but nobody wants to take that risk. Yeah. Nobody wants to, who's signing a lease agreement, say, if it doesn't work out, this is what happens. Well, that's never between the tenant and the landlord. As between those two people, maybe it would be enforceable, but not between the two tenants and the landlord.
Landlord still gets his money.
Landlord gets his money. Stay with people who you love, or you have to love.
True.
Marilyn Bahura is suing her former friend, Douglas Soroki, for storage fees and a wrongful eviction.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2062, Bahar versus Soroki.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bahura, how old are you?
38.
What do you do for a living?
I used to be a cosmetologist.
What do you do now?
I'm not doing anything right now.
Who are you living with?
I lived in hotels. I'm staying now with a friend for 3 weeks.
How do you support yourself?
I'm on income that comes every month. I'm on disability right now.
Is your disability of a physical nature or psychological nature?
It's both.
And how much do you collect from disability?
Around $900.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long have you been on disability?
About 10 years.
10 years? And when were you a cosmetologist?
I started back when I was 16, during high school time. And I started doing hair, and I went to hair school, and then I ended up getting really sick, so I went back and forth to doing hair, and then I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, when did you said you were a cosmetologist? When were you a cosmetologist?
During high school year, so it was like around 2000.
Oh, well, that's a long time ago. We're talking about ancient history.
Yes.
So what you're telling me is that since you were in your mid-20s, you have been on disability. Yes. And how old are you, sir?
69.
You're a single man.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me how you met the plaintiff.
About 4 years ago, she called me. I do auto brokering, where somebody wants a vehicle, and I go to the dealer and try to make the best deal for them, just like a real estate agent.
Tell me how she got your number.
So I advertise on Facebook. I advertise on LinkedIn. So I don't know exactly how she got my number.
How'd you get his number?
The truth is, I never got his number. What happened was, when we talk about, I'm looking for a car, I'm selling, I want to sell my car, he messaged me, hey, I sell cars, I can help you.
That's
2-3 years.
True.
That's very true. I have all the messages through Facebook and everything. But he messaged me, I can help you, how are you, good morning. I said, okay, you can help me. But
okay, I got enough.
Yeah.
All right, so let me sort of outline this case the way I am now putting it all together. You came on to some hard times, harder than usually your life is because of your disability, and you were in your apartment, according to you, and the building had a fire. Because of the fire, you became homeless. You had already known the defendant. He did something for you with a car. And you were living alone, I assume, in this apartment. How many bedrooms in the apartment? It was a one-bedroom. And did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you paying in rent?
It was $790.
Okay, so you were paying $790 for the apartment that burned down.
I'm sorry, $690. I apologize, $690.
And how long had you lived there?
It would have been 5 years exactly.
Okay, it would have been 5 years before the place burned down.
Ma'am.
And
But, Your Honor.
What?
They were evicting her.
At the time of the fire?
Yes, yes. And then...
Just a sec, 1 sec. Don't shout out again. However, I find that interesting. She was living there for 5 years, and how do you know that she was being evicted?
She showed me the paperwork.
May I see it?
Yeah, it's my phone. Here's the letter that she had with the management.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just see your request for a hearing, and the hearing was for what?
It was dismissed. I had...
No. The hearing's for what? Was it for an eviction?
No.
What was it for?
I had COVID, and I had Sarah pay.
Are you not understanding me?
No. Hearing for what? I'm sorry.
I said, was the proceeding an eviction notice?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't an eviction notice.
They don't have proceedings for COVID. They have an eviction case. You may say, I don't have money because of COVID, and they give you time to pay. Were you served with an eviction notice?
A warning to go to court.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
For what? For speeding, for robbery, for assault, or for an eviction?
For non-payment.
For eviction. Listen. For eviction.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Only because when I told the judge said it's not an eviction.
I don't care what you told the judge. You were brought to court for an eviction. Kevin, would you return this stuff, please? Just a second. Just a second. Ms. Bahara, let me explain something to you. I don't know whether you watch me in the past or whether you don't watch me in the past, but I want you to know that I know exactly who you are. I know exactly how you live. I know exactly how you support yourself. I know who you are. I know all of that. So let's not play with each other. You're a smart lady. You've managed to negotiate at age 38 a system for yourself. So when I ask you, did you go to court for an eviction? The answer is yes. You want to explain it to me if I ask you what happened? Well, I paid it, and that COVID, they couldn't throw me out because it was COVID. You're not allowed to evict somebody during COVID. You want to explain that to me if I'm interested? That's fine. But if I say to you, were you summoned to court for an eviction? The answer is
yes. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Whether that had any impact on the fire in this building, I have no idea.
No, I don't. It didn't.
I have no idea.
And
the plaintiff says she was a heroine in this fire, according to her complaint, and she got a lot of people out of the building, and the things in her apartment were unscathed. Now, prior to that time, had you done anything other than help her secure a car?
No.
Did you help her secure a car?
No, I couldn't get it because her credit was terrible.
Just a second. Did she want a car?
Yes.
Okay, what kind of a car did she want? That's the reason that you met.
The first time, something inexpensive like a GMC Terrain. The second time, she wanted a 2017 or 2018 Lincoln. I think it's MKX or MKZ.
What was she driving when she contacted you? Nothing.
Right.
Did she ever buy a car?
For me, no. But she did get one from a dealer. I don't know how they did it because...
Uncross.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you currently own a car?
No, I don't own a car. Well, now I have a car, yes.
That's what I am.
Yes.
Yes, do you understand? You have to let me introduce you to the truth. Mr. Truth, I'd like you to meet the plaintiff. Do you have a car?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're only nervous now because you know I understand you. You now have a car. And where are you living now?
With my friend.
Where were you living prior to that?
Hotel rooms.
When did you purchase the car?
March 27th.
What kind of car did you buy?
That was the Terrain.
What year?
2017.
How much was it?
With everything, I think it went to $24,000.
How much of a down payment did you put down?
$2,000.
And you financed the rest with whom?
They financed it with...
They had to go to a third-party lender.
I don't care. Do I look like I need your help?
No.
No. No, because I'm trying to find out how this lady, who has the sole income of $900 a month, lived in an apartment for $700 a month, managed to save up $2,000 to put down on a car. Car has insurance, car has gas, car has expense. You have to buy food, you need to take care of your hair. Looks like you buy nice clothes, look like you have some jewelry that's more than $900 a month, and you've been really on the doles for a decade. So I'm just trying to square all this with what I'm seeing. Do you understand where I'm going?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Now, so this is what you're complaining about. The defendant, after you called him, said, well, I have a spare room in my condo. You can come with me. And you say, well, I have all my stuff that I've accumulated in my apartment, and I have only one storage unit to put it in, and I'll have to pick through and discard stuff, blah, 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 because I can't afford a second storage unit. And according to you, the defendant said, I'll pay for the second storage unit. And at some point after you moved in with him and threw you out, he reversed the charges. And so you were charged for your storage unit for your stuff. That's part of your lawsuit, $600. Now, the main part of your complaint, for which you want almost $6,000, is for punitive damages because you claim that Mr. Soroki, while you were living with him, rent-free, food-free, everything free, made unwanted advances towards you. And I'm certain that what you did was put in this complaint the most egregious things that he did to you, because you would want me to know the most egregious things that he did to you, right? Okay.
As for the money, the way it was saved, I had to go.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't tell me you had a GoFundMe page.
I did. I did. It was for the fire.
Just a second.
It was his idea, too.
No.
I got it.
Got it? Oh, I'm dying to see that.
Marilyn Bahura claims her former friend, Douglas Soroki, owes for storage fees and a wrongful eviction. Douglas is countersuing for property damage and false accusations.
So let me read to you what you say he did to you, the unwelcomed advances. He would walk around the house in his underwear.
Yes, ma'am.
Just, I didn't ask you anything. These are the most egregious things. And he patted my behind when he walked past me.
Not true.
Now, just a second. Those were the first two things that you tell me that he did to you. Now, how many times do you say he touched you?
Between
on the
7 to 8 times.
7 to 8 times. Okay. When did you live with him?
I moved in March 5th of the fire.
And how long did you stay?
Till the 31st.
Of what?
Of March.
And what happened on the 31st of March?
I was trying to make phone calls to get a car behind his back because he took the privileges from using his car.
Just a second. So while you were living with him, he let you use his car when you needed it. And then he told you you couldn't use his car anymore?
So he didn't tell me. What he did was on the 24th, he said, we're going to go to my son-in-law. I sold the car to some lady. Come with me. Let's drop it off, which is the Cadillac that I'm using because he has 2 cars. He ended up getting the electric Audi. He said, just use my car. Now, keep in mind, he's letting me use that car since March 3rd. March 4th, my house burns down at 1 a.m. So he goes and gives a car to some lady. We drop it off all the way.
Date?
March 24th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so that's March 24th.
So I have no more car at this point. So the Cadillac is gone now.
You didn't have a car when you were living someplace else. So moving in with him, you had a car.
Yes.
Which was very nice because you hadn't had a car previous to that. So now we dropped the car off and now you didn't have a car.
Yes.
That's March 24th.
Right.
Then what happened?
I was trying to still figure out, and we had talked about...
You didn't finish to say you were trying to figure out what?
Figure out how to get a car, like to see what I can do.
Okay, so you were trying to get a car.
As for the money, the way it was saved, I had to go...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't tell me you had a GoFundMe page.
I did. I did. It was for the fire.
Just a second.
It was his idea, too.
No.
I got it.
Got it? Oh, I'm dying to see that. Okay. Now, you were driving his car, right?
Yes.
Ever think about driving for Uber? Seems as if you're perfectly capable of doing that. You drove a car. Go pick somebody up, take them back. I don't know how that would be affected by your disability because clearly you were able to drive. I'm going to get past that. We're back to March 24th. Now you're making calls when he's not around to try to get a car because you no longer have a car. You leave on March 31st. You want to tell me what the circumstances were that caused you to leave on March 31st?
So March 26th, he said, can you please go to a friend's house? I'm bringing a girl over. I said, yes, no problem. It's his house.
Okay.
He can do that. I said, can you please drop me off? I have a friend that was supposed to be my witness today. She wasn't feeling good. Can you drop me off because it's only 15 minutes where he's from? He said, yes, no problem.
And when you slept in the defendant's condo, you had your own room?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we got up and everything was fine. He was rushing me out. We were talking, and as he showed me a picture of who he's bringing, I told Doug, shut my room door because I have stuff in there. So he dropped me off. I went to my friend. It was actually my friend's birthday.
I don't care.
Okay. So in the morning at 10 a.m., I get a text message showing me a 1-dish plate on the sink. And he's like, you couldn't do a dish? I said, I cleaned the whole house. I said, anyway, should they drop me off or do you want to come get me? I want to come back home. He's like, no, I'll come get you. I'll pick you up. He came, he got me. We sat in the car. I said, hi. He's like, I asked you to do one favor. I said, wait, the dish? I said, I cleaned the whole house and everything. We went back to the house.
Then what happened?
He knocks on the door and he says, pack up. I'm calling you Uber, leave. I said, I have nowhere to go. Where am I going to go? What do you mean leave? He's like, I just don't want you here anymore.
Now, this is on the 27th. He tells you to leave. You call the police.
No, he called the police. I told him to call the police.
No, she didn't tell me.
Just a second, because you didn't want to leave. Because
didn't have nowhere to go.
Because you didn't want to leave.
It's not that I didn't have nowhere to go. I had no car to leave anywhere.
Well, just a second. Are you living at a hotel after this?
I did.
After this. And how did you get to the hotel?
The guy that I purchased the car from brought it to his house, brought me that car
So
on the 31st.
you, just a second. So he asked you to leave, and you managed to get a car, and you went to a hotel, right? What happened between the 27th, because police were called, they came, and they evidently said you could stay?
1 week.
1 week. They tell you could...
What happened was, there was 2 cops.
I don't need a whole story. Did they
He
let
said,
you
how
stay?
long would you like for you to have? I said, I need some time. I have nowhere to go. That's when... Yes, ma'am.
A week. But you left on the 31st. Did anything else happen between the 27th and the 31st?
No.
You packed up your things.
Yes.
And a car was delivered.
Yes.
And you left.
Yes.
There were no incidents.
No.
And so just so that I'm totally clear and understand, on the 27th, you were in a safe place in somebody's house. You have your own bank account because GoFundMe?
I have the page.
Oh, may I see it, please?
Sure. And the description
Okay.
is here. And that's how much it's.
Okay. My name is Marilyn, and I'm a fire survivor. The place where I lived caught fire. I left my apartment to go upstairs. I knew it was too late for one of my neighbors. I had to scream. I will make a long story short. It's taken a toll on me and everyone else. My main goal was to save everybody. We ended up losing everything because we had to leave the premises, and we were not allowed to go back for 24 hours to remove what was left in our apartment. As for me, I now have nowhere to go, and I need help to get into a place. I had to borrow a friend's transportation to get around, rent out a storage, and put everything there that I can. At this point in my life, it feels like a dream, and so far, you asked for $7,000, and so far you raised $1,772 from soft-hearted Americans. These people got to stay off the internet. I find it unbelievable for a person as strong as you are that if he was doing these things that were so irritating to you, there's the door. And you've managed to find a place to go and find. Don't speak back to me.
Marilyn Bahura has accused her former friend, Douglas Soroki, of sexual harassment while living with him. Douglas says Marilyn lied to the police and damaged his reputation.
Okay, so just so that I'm clear, you raised almost $1,800. You didn't have a car before. No. You told me you didn't have a car before. Is that what you said, Whitney?
During that time, yes.
She didn't have a car before.
During that time.
Well, at that time is what I'm talking about. At the time of the fire, when you were living at this $690 a month apartment, you didn't have a car. You see, what I don't understand, madam, is that in the whole litany of your travails and troubles with the defendant, it sounded to me, a little bizarre. Taking in somebody he didn't know, dating somebody else, bringing somebody else to his house. But he's a 69-year-old man. He can do what he wants to do. He's not asking you for anything. You pay for your own storage. If you had to pay for your own storage, pay it out of the GoFundMe page. The thing that's most irritating to me is that you now, in order to get money from him, you sued him for sexual advances. And if they were so horrific to you, you've lived in motels before. You've lived in hotels before. You have friends. But it's sort of outrageous to try to convince me that you were so outraged by his conduct and still stayed, and when he tried to get you out, try to convince the police to let you stay because it was your home. That's what I don't understand.
The police said that she has...
Just a second. Do you understand what I just said?
everything you're saying is not how it happened. Everything's a lie because he gave me the car 2 days before the fire. He told me I have an extra room. I'm gonna help you come clean my house. I'll give you $300, get back on, this is the truth. I'll get you back on your feet. I did lose my home. I did save people. Yes, I am.
You're not understanding what I'm saying?
I was over there for free. I paid for food. I helped him too. The car he'd give me, I go back and forth, help him bring in his papers to the car dealerships.
Let me ask you a question. What do you think he owes you for? You're going to pay your own storage unit. That's why you went on a GoFundMe page.
He said do the GoFundMe. He called one of his friends from California. He's the one that sent $500. Yes, I saved it. That money from the GoFundMe and from whatever I got from my friends, I saved it to get a car. I said, are you going to still help me put the down payment? He promised the down payment. He promised everything. Yeah. I have proof right here that he promised everything. I'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. This is all him saying.
Take care of yourself. I find it unbelievable for a person as strong as you are that if he was doing these things that were so irritating to you, there's the door. And what I have a problem with is that some people really are subject in their workplace, in a domestic situation, abusive people. And when you try to use it to get money from, well, that's what you're here for. That's what you're suing him for. $6,000.
Right
$6,000. $6,000.
I could have.
Just a second. Just a second. Don't tell me you had nowhere to go. You've had some place to go for 38 years. For 38 years, you've managed to find a place to go and find. Don't speak back to me. You've managed to find some place to go for 38 years. And without working, hustle to live. However that was, whether it's through relief or food stamps or disability payments or cosmetics on the side, you've managed to not work and live. Well, that's what you told me. That's what you told me. Don't look quizzically. You've managed to not work and to live. Somebody who may have had ulterior motives. 70 doesn't go into 38, sir. 38 goes into 70. But 70 doesn't go into 38. So I would stay within my ballpark if I were you. Do you understand? And it doesn't belie credulity, which means I can actually understand that a single guy, 70 years old, now has somebody who's relatively attractive, that he's extended a hand to come and live with him, and he made an agreement with her. I don't even have to go into it, that she would take care of the apartment, she would clean up the apartment, she wouldn't have to pay you rent, she could use your car, all of that stuff. And there is no question in my mind, in your head, that somewhere down the pike there was going to be a payday. Just a second. Maybe, maybe not. However, the plaintiff has 2 good feet, and she was out of your house, and she insisted on coming, as she calls it, home. I had to go home. And then when the police came, she insisted on staying home. How much time do you need to get out? Because he wanted her out. I need a week here because I have no place to go. Okay, your case is dismissed. Listen, sir, you made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
You made a mistake.
Yeah.
Your mistake just got dressed down in an international forum because there's no question in my mind that this lady who lives by her wits, if she didn't want to live someplace, she wouldn't live there. So your case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I am a very humble person. I don't hurt people. I'm a giver.
Well, she knew that the girl was lying, and I knew that she'd catch it right up front.
She's the judge, right? But, the real judge is God. That's who I put my faith in.
You can't do anybody a favor. She had a fire.
And she may have seen me dressed up nice. I'm going to take care of myself, whether I am homeless or not.
She called me at 1 or 2 in the morning, had nowhere to stay, so I let her in.
I'm not going to come as a scrub. I'm not a scrub, so.
People have to be so careful on GoFundMe, and there's no fact check on the internet. There's no way to tell whether she really did lose her belongings and was homeless from a fire or not. People can write whatever they want on the internet. And it really rubbed me the wrong way because I thought I read in her sworn papers for today, she said, I was able to save most of my belongings because my unit did not burn to the ground. And you read the complete opposite on her GoFundMe page that she was using to solicit money from innocent people online. And that really rubs me the wrong way because you're going to swear to this here in court today, but there is no such sworn testimony for the internet.
We've seen a few cases like that, even people feigning illness. And it's actually just a testament of the good-hearted people that live in this country that will give a total stranger, based upon a caption, $10, $100, just makes them feel better. But when you find somebody who abuses it, it really hurts everybody because people will look at these GoFundMe pages, some of which are legitimate, as potential scams.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a woman who lives by her wits, and he's an older guy who should know better.
Also true.